Hi guys, welcome to the Game Week 31 deadline stream. I hope I'm live right now. Do let me know if you can see me, you can hear me, if I'm live. It's something really weird happened where I was kind of live since the last 15 minutes and I've been talking since the last 15 minutes and I think because some reason I don't know. It showed on YouTube that it was live, but I can't imagine I've been talking since the last 15 minutes when I went live at 1 p.m. and I mean, yeah, it just feels weird that I've been talking to a blank screen or a random screen for the last 15 minutes and kind of, you know, talking about Gaming 31 in general. But anyways, we'll just assume that the stream is starting now and we'll start afresh and we'll start again. Uh, but yeah, welcome to the Gaming 31 deadline stream again. I hope you're ready. I hope you're excited about Gaming 31. I think it's gonna be a great week, great game week. I think we've kind of reached towards a point where we only have about 8 game weeks left, and I think this is actually the time where we can try to maximize our FPL points, try to maximize potential from certain players. Of course, look for specific options, look for different options in terms of how we can gain rank, whether it's captaincy, whether it's differential captaincy, whether we go for differential options or differential players in our FPL teams. I think it's going to be very exciting, last phase of the FPL season. Yes, there are some certain risk involved and certain strategies which may be risky. Let's say, for example, going without Haaland in terms of captaincy. I've seen a fair few teams also, or managers at least, thinking of not going without Haaland. I still am scared in terms of letting go of Haaland and of course trying to maximize the other spots in the team. But I think having Haaland is still a very important aspect of playing the last 8 weeks in the right way. But anyways, I hope you're ready. I hope you're set up in terms of your team, in terms of what is your overall strategy in the stream today. Please feel free to ask as many questions as you can, as many whether it's strategy related, whether it's a free hit for 32, and what should be the strategy with or without a free hit, what kind of players to kind of go for. I think it'll be better for you to kind of check into what could be potential options in terms of whether to free hit in the 32 and 34 as well. I mean, that's also a conversation to be had in terms of which way to go towards a free hit. And I think, of course, it'll help me as well as the other people on the stream as well to kind of think about their own respective teams. I understand it's a competition at the end of the day, and we're trying to beat each other, but I think helping each other in some sort of way would also be great. But yeah, welcome to the stream again. As I mentioned, I've been talking since the last 15, 20 minutes in front of a blank screen. And it just feels weird, but that's what it is. Uh, Big blunder. I mean, I don't know what happened though. I think maybe it was some internet issue or maybe the stream crashed or whatever. But I still felt or I still thought that we were live. But anyways, Darwin or March, I think it's a very interesting question. Darwin does have a good fixture. The issue with Darwin Nunes is that he's not nailed. And when I say he's not nailed, of course he will get minutes, but will he get a start or not is one of the biggest questions. Considering that Jota is also back, considering that Firmino is also shaving off minutes, I still feel Darwin is a bit risky. I mean, if you're trying to chase rank, if you're trying to capitalize on maybe a huge Darwin haul, even let's say for example if he gets about 60, 70 minutes, I mean there is potential for Darwin to maybe score a couple of goals. I know that he does possess some really good stats, and I think he generally does well on the XG front. He will be getting a lot of big chances. It's always the issue with Darwin that he's not able to finish those chances, but I still think there is potential in a Darwin Nunes. But yeah, overall, I think depends on your strategy. If you're trying to play a little bit safer, trying to play not play catch up and trying to consolidate rank, I still think March is a decent enough differential still. But I think if you're going all out, I think Darwin is. I mean, the fixture is definitely there. There is risk in terms of his minutes, but I think again, depending on your risk appetite, you go for the option. I personally like Darwin a lot. Even if he gets about 40, 50, 60 minutes, I don't think so. It's probably going to be more than that, but I think there is potential in Darwin for sure. You didn't see my strategy. I did see your strategy, and I was talking about your strategy for the last 5-10 minutes, and I kind of covered each and every point, but we'll talk about it again. Hey Nigel, hello to you. Hey Savio, hello to you as well. Welcome to the stream. So selling Rashford for Olise, I'll just kind of quickly talk about it again. I think this is one of the most important dilemmas for this week, where a lot of managers are thinking of selling Rashford or keeping Rashford. Now, I think it really depends on a couple of factors. How are you seeing the Rashford injury play out? That's number one. Second is whether you have the free hit or not. Because if you do not have the free hit, Rashford does give you like a cheap shot or a cheap strategy in terms of moving from him and then moving towards, let's say, a Martinelli, moving towards, let's say, a Saka, maybe towards a Salah as well. Let's say if you have enough money in the bank, maybe you can downgrade one of your forwards. I still don't recommend downgrading a Harry Kane this week because Harry Kane is facing Bournemouth and he has a great record against Bournemouth. So that may not be the most ideal move, but yeah, I mean, if you can move towards an alternative option who gives you a fixture in 32 and then you do not have the free hit, I think Rashford is an easy sell. If you are playing the free hit in gaming 32, I think it becomes a bit tricky because yes, you can still move towards a different double gaming 34 option, or maybe a Liverpool option as I mentioned, because Liverpool does have a fixture in 32 and then a double in 34. And a lot of people would say that it's basically wasting a transfer because you will ultimately be getting Rashford back, and that's a fair assessment. But I think when looked at my own strategy, the idea of my personal team is to basically take out Saka and Madison in the next couple of weeks after game week 32 for sure, 33, 34. Get in get in Salah, and then also try to get towards Rashford if Rashford is fit, and then all of those those two moves. Of course, I'll have to take out Harry Kane to afford that move, but they definitely help me to move towards a Trent or even get a Salah in my team. So I think it really is team dependent. It really is how you're seeing the Rashford injury play out. Now there are conversations where he can come back for the Europa League game as well. I still don't think so that's going to happen. I still have my hunch and I still have the feeling that he's probably, if the Rashford injury is overplayed by Ten Hag, is overplayed by Man United, is overplayed by Rashford himself, I think maybe he gets back in 33 or by maximum 34. But I think, yeah, I mean, even if you're taking out Rashford, I think you should definitely have a plan to get back Rashford. I think getting in Ulisse is great, considering that you're looking at a differential, you're looking to try to gain rank. Now I understand that we need to temper our expectations in terms of how do we look at Palace, how do we look at Ulisse as an FPL asset, and how do we look at the two fixtures that have been played by Crystal Palace? Because yes, two games under Roy Hodgson is a very small sample size, and yes, it's a very weird sort of a sample size because generally Roy Hodgson teams are good in defense. They're not as explosive or as creative as they've shown that they can be in the last couple of fixtures, where we are now considering players like Olise, players like Eze, and we still need to kind of temper the expectations. So the fixtures for Palace are really good because they do have Southampton and Everton. I think they are really really good fixtures, and I think if that's the strategy, I mean, you can always go back from an Olise to a Rashford, and I think that should be fine. And I think he's at that sort of price range. Even if as you're mentioning, right, even if he doesn't explode, I think he's absolutely fine, and you can move him on to a different option. Next week, saving a transfer, gaming 33, transferring Harrison to March. I think March is still the best Brighton option to go for. Henry to Ake is interesting because Nathan Ake, a lot of managers, a lot of people are looking towards a Man City defender. Now, Nathan Ake may or may not be as nailed as we are thinking that he can be by game week 33, 34 because of the fact that, of course, the Champions League game is there as well. I still feel Ake is going to be one of the most nailed options, but in case if you're not comfortable or in case if you do not want to bet towards a Man City defender, I think you can also go towards a Man City keeper, for example. I think Edison is an option that maybe not a lot of people are thinking, but I think because the fact that we have keepers like Raya and Kepa, I think there is a case to be made to move towards an Edison because I think he's going to be nailed. I don't see a scenario where Man City rotate among goalkeepers, and I think Edison is pretty much safe. Plus, the upside is not huge because Nathan Ake is not really giving you a lot of goal threat. He's not really giving you a lot of creativity threat. And I think Edison, yes, I know that he doesn't make a lot of saves, so maybe he's not that great for bonus points potential as well. But I think if you're just targeting a Man City clean sheet, I think Edison is also absolutely fine. I'm in a free hit in 34, and I can easily play game week 32 without transferring, which is also absolutely fine. Nigel, you've shared your team, so it's David De Gea, Trippier, White, Share, Fernandes, March, Rashford, Martinelli, Kane, Haaland, Tony. Among your subs, you have Ward, me, Diop, and Rama. One free transfer, 0.5 million in the bank. Me will swap in for Rashford, is what you're thinking. which is okay this week. It's against Wolves, and I think there is potential for me to get a clean sheet. Trying to roll my transfer and getting Salah for Fernandez and Jesus for Haaland. I mean, if you're targeting, if you're transferring out Haaland next week, I think you'll still have to kind of understand or figure out a way to get back Haaland, because I mean, if you save this week, that's absolutely fine. But if you're transferring out Haaland game week 32, yes, he's blanking in game week 32, but then he does have a fixture in game week 33 and 34. And he's probably going to be, maybe he's also more than 200% in terms of effective ownership in game week 34, because of the fact that fair few amount of managers might have the triple captaincy chip available, and not having Haaland, might be a very risky or very tricky game to play. And I'm again, if you have a plan to get back Haaland again in 34, maybe that's fine. But I just feel it's one more additional transfer, and maybe there are better strategic outlays to kind of look at. Rashford to Salah, Grealish. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Even if you have a free hit in 32, as I mentioned, as I was mentioning when I was talking to the blank screen, I think even if you don't, or even if you have the free hit, I think Rashford to a Salah or a Grealish is justified. Rashford to Salah actually is better because it kind of gives you a fixture in 32 as well. It and once you have Salah, I think you can easily kind of make arrangements or adjust your funds accordingly, because you've spent a major chunk on Mo Salah. You've maybe done a bit of restructuring, readjusting, etc. Maybe you already have some money in the bank, and then you can chop and change and look towards other moves who are not going to cost you as much money as a Salah, right? So I think it's absolutely fine. You can move towards a Bruno or a Grealish to a Rashford. I mean, yeah, you can absolutely do that as well. Right now, I think we have to play the cards in terms of what we've been dealt with and what we have, the information that we have, because the fact that there's so much vague information and vague news about the Rashford injury, about what he's commenting in the press, what Ten Hag is saying, I still don't feel that we have the full or the complete picture. So it depends on how you're taking the situation, how you're understanding and reading the whole scenario, and then I think it's fine. Keeping Rashford is okay, selling Rashford is okay. It totally depends on your team, and totally depends on your in terms of what chips you have, and I think you should be okay. I'm confused in captaincy though. Currently it's on Bruno thing. I mean, I personally don't. This is one week where, unless you really, really have to go differential or have to go different, I don't see a point of moving away from Haaland. It's Haaland against Leicester. Leicester are one of the worst sides in terms of defensive capabilities in the league. They've not kept a single clean sheet since the FPL restart. I mean, that speaks volumes. And this feels like a game where Haaland can absolutely smash Leicester, maybe 3 or 4 goals as well. Also, the fact that they're already 3-0 up in the Bayern Munich tie in the Champions League, I don't think so. Minutes and rotation is going to be an issue. Of course, if Man City is leading by 4 or 5 goals by 60 minutes, I think Haaland does, come off the bench, or basically come off the field. But I mean, if Man City are scoring 3 or 4 or 5 goals, I think Haaland is definitely going to get a hat trick among that, right? It's not going to be any different. So I think this is not a week where we kind of differentiate. Still, if we want to differentiate, I think Bruno is okay, but Nottingham Forest could be a tricky game. It's also an away game, and Nottingham Forest at home are generally a stronger side as compared to what they are away. So if I had options like a Kane or a Salah, I think they're better options. Even if maybe I have a Saka or a Martinelli, I think they're also decent. I personally won't look at the Brighton mids. I think Chelsea away still could be a tricky game. By the way, your blog is doing amazing. Thank you so much. I hope you are reading it. I hope you guys have found it useful and helpful. Do let me know if you have any feedback. Do let me know if you have any comments, anything that you would want to see on the blog as well. By the way, for those of you who do not know, we have the Insanely Football blog, which has been live for quite some time. It's insanelyfootball.com. We do weekly blogs on wildcard teams, on captaincy, on players to target. There's a lot of stuff that comes out on the blog, so do check it out. I'm sure it's going to be very, very helpful and useful. Tejas, you've shared your team. Thank you for that. So it's Raya, Trippier, Chilwell, Gabriel, March, Mitoma, Fernandez, Martinelli, Haaland, Kane, Watkins. Among your subs, you have Botman, Shaw, Rashford. Any suggestions? One free transfer, point four in the bank. Again, it depends on whether you have the free hit available to be used in 32 or not. I mean, Rashford out to a Grealish looks like the straightforward transfer, but do you want to do that? What's your strategy for 32? Whether you're free hitting sector. If you're free hitting, I think you can easily do the Rashford to to a Grealish switch. If you're free hitting as well in 32, I think this transfer is not going to be carry forwarded to game week 33, and I think do make a note of that. So in case if you have one free transfer right now, and if you are free hitting in game week 32, that transfer is not going to be carry forwarded. So when you come to game week 33, it's not going to be two free transfers, it's just going to be one free transfer. So do keep in mind, if you are free hitting in game week 32, you will be burning the free transfer for this week if you do not make any changes. So might as well start thinking about game week 34 and start thinking about what you want for game week 34 for the double in 34, and then make a transfer. Try to make one move, maybe downgrade a keeper here. I mean, maybe Chilwell can be a different option. That is also a potential strategy. If you want to take out Shaw, that also is a way. Again, I don't know who your second keeper is. I can't see the second keeper here, but maybe you can arrange some funds in your keeper. In case, I mean, if Saka was an option here or Saka was a pick here, I mean, I would have suggested you to go back to a Martinelli because that will help you save some money. Considering you only have point 0.4 in the bank, I think that would have been the ideal, ideal transfer here. But yeah, it depends on what you're doing for 32, and whether you have the free hit or not for 32. When is Tony getting banned for 2 games after getting yellow? I mean, that was expected in April, but nothing has come out yet. I'm not sure when is it gonna come out. But I think it's high time we kind of not think about that. Of course, when it comes, and we'll deal with it when it comes. But I don't think so. Right now is the time to actually. Of course, yes, there is a chance that he can get that yellow, and I think there's still a couple of fixtures to play for that. But I think it's fine. See, at the end of the day, players also know that they one yellow card and they can get banned, and I don't think so. Tony's probably going to take that chance. He's not a Mitrovic. There's a huge difference between him and a Mitrovic, and I think it's fine. We don't really have to worry about it. Henry to Diaz for a -4 may not pay off this week. Of course, it's Leicester, and Diaz looks one of the most nailed options, but it does set you up for game week 34 for the double in 34. I do feel Diaz is one of the most nailed options. So if you're looking for maybe the most nailed pick in that Man City defense, I think Diaz is absolutely fine. In case if you feel that maybe you have to save some money, maybe you need some additional funds, you can even go for Nathan Ake or Akanji. I think all three options are probably going to be nailed options. I think Man City is probably going to play the same formation that they've been playing, with all those three defenders playing, and then Stones maybe playing in that midfield sort of role. I think that's probably going to continue. Hey Jun, two free transfers: Tony to Haaland, Rashford to Grealish, Odegaard to Martinelli, Chilwell to Ake for -8. What do you recommend I do? Please help. Trying to free hit in gaming 32. So you can, of course, you'll have to get back Haaland. Free hitting in 32, so that's absolutely fine. Odegaard to Martinelli, I does feel that it gives you a little bit of money. Rashford to Grealish is also okay. Chiller to Ake, I think it's fine. Yes, it's a -8. Yes, it's not. It does feel a lot specifically for 1 game week, but I think you're setting up for game week 34. Just make sure that you have some idea, some plan of getting back Rashford, and I think you should be fine. See, right now hits, it does, or it will feel that it's a lot of hits, and maybe we're kind of going back in terms of losing rank, etc., and we may not be able to recover that in 1 week. Now that's absolutely a possibility, but then again, you also have to look at the bigger picture, because game week 34 you may be in a position to make other transfers, or may not even take a lot of hits, when a lot of managers will end up taking hits. So I think if it's setting up your team nicely for this week, giving you a good boost this week and in 33, of course, you are preparing for 34 as well, I think it's absolutely fine. Would you do Rashford plus Havertz plus Darwin to Haaland plus Jesus plus Pereira? I mean, Haaland plus, of course, I would definitely want Haaland in the team. Gabriel Jesus is also a good option, but Pereira as a combination doesn't look like the best pick. Yes, he does have a double, but it's a very tricky double. Yes, the fixtures for Fulham are Everton, Leeds, and Aston Villa in the next three. But I still feel it's a waste of a spot, considering how premium the midfield spots are right now. I mean, we're looking at 2 Brighton mids, we're looking at 1 Arsenal mid, then we have Rashford, Grealish, we have Salah. So I think there are a lot of good options, and I just feel Andres Pereira is maybe not doing justice to that fifth midfield spot. I think there are better picks. And if the question was taking out Haaland, Jesus, and Pereira, I think again it depends on. I won't take out Haaland this week. No, in no scenario I'll take out Haaland even in Game Week 32. Let's say if you're not free hitting in Game Week 32, I'll still make a plan of benching him in Game Week 32, and then just making sure that I'm playing with one less player. It's absolutely fine. getting back Haaland is again costing you one more transfer. I don't think so. It's worth it, especially when we are chopping and changing so quickly and in such a quick fashion. I don't think so. It's worth it. KDB captain was okay last time. Got Haaland now. Who should be captain? Haaland, KDB, Salah. I think if you're looking to gain rank, if you're looking to do go go a bit different, trying to chase rank, trying to basically go against your mini league rivals, because I think people who are leading in mini leagues, people who are having a good rank right now, I think they will definitely want to consolidate their position and go for Haaland captaincy, because I think it's a very safe option. It's a good option as well. It's just not that it's safe. I think there is a lot of potential, maybe the best potential in terms of points with a Haaland. But again, if you do not want to do that, I think Salah is probably the next best option with KDB again, because of the fact that there is that Champions League game as well. I know it's Man City are leading 3-0, but I think KDB could still see limited minutes, and I think the potential for Haaland is just too high. So I think if we are chasing, if you're looking at a differential, I think Salah is also a great pick. He was very unlucky to to basically not get points because of the fact that he did miss that penalty, because of the fact that he generated so much XG and ultimately didn't get any points. I think there is good potential to to move towards Salah as well when we talk about captaincy. Start Watkins, template plus Trippier and Botman, or Tony differential, or March or Mitoma. So I'm assuming it's Watkins with a combination of Trippier and Botman, uh, or Tony, or I mean I didn't understand the question, but if it's start one of Watkins, Tony, or one of March or Mitoma, I think I still start whosoever you do not have in your 11 between March and Matoma, because I think there's still better options. Watkins is playing a slightly tougher defense, and I think if you have Trippier and Botman in your 11, I think it's definitely again. I mean, it's contradicting your 11, right? So either you hedge your bets towards Newcastle keeping a clean sheet and maybe Watkins not doing that well, and you just bench him. Tony's a good differential. I think Wolves are still okay. I mean, they can still stop goals. Of course, they can't score goals, so it's great for somebody like a Raya or maybe a Brentford defender. But I think if the option is between all of these picks, I think I'll still take my chances, even if it's doubling up on the Brighton team with a March or a Mitoma. I think yes, I understand it's against Chelsea. I understand that it's an away game for Brighton, but Brighton are probably. I mean, when we look at their XG numbers, they're still they're performing even better than Man City at the moment over the last six odd game weeks. So I think I don't see a scenario where Brighton is just gonna hold back, because they are not that sort of a team. They are attack first team. They are playing like a premium team. They are looking to play on the front foot and go attacking, and I don't think so that's going to change. That's one of the in fact reasons where Brighton defenders are maybe not the best options to generally go for, because of the fact how attacking they are, and they do end up leaving spaces for the other teams to also score. So yes, Chelsea can also score in that game, but I think I'll still take my chances with the double up on March and Mitoma. Region 34, so I don't have to worry about anything. To be honest, I don't have to have nothing to worry about. I can easily play blank game week 32 without transferring, which is absolutely fine. Only issue is that Allison is showing 70% because Allison didn't train. But I think in the press comments that I read, I think Allison should be fine and he should be first choice and he should start. So I don't think so. There's a huge deal there. I think Allison is okay. We have Raya, Kepa, Trippier, Shaw, Chilwell, Botman, Estupinian, Rashford, Saka, Grealish, March, Mitoma, Kane, Haaland, Watkins. What transfer should I make in one free transfer? 0.9 million in the bank. I think other than maybe the transfers that you've already made, I'm not sure whether you have or you haven't. But Raya Kepa is fine. Trippier, Shaw, Chilwell, Botman is also fine. I don't see a need to make transfers to this team. Rashford, Saka, Grealish, March, Mitoma. Again, depends on whether you're free hitting or not. How much money do you need for moves in gaming 33 or 34? You can do Saka to, if you have a free transfer and if you're free hitting gaming 32, the transfer is gonna get wasted. So maybe you can do the Saka to Martinelli move. That will generate some cash for you. And you can use that cash in 33, 34 to make upgrades, maybe to move towards a Salah. I think that option is also there. Uh, you might have to let go of Rashford in case if you are looking to get towards a Salah. Maybe you have to let go of one of your Brighton mids. I think because Rashford, Saka, Grealish, they're three out of which two have a double in 34. then March and Mitoma. So those are free, and those are five options. I mean, Saka to Salah can also be an option later on. So again, it depends on whether you're free hitting or not. And if you are, I think you can generate cash by going Saka to Martinelli. I think that's a fine move. If you didn't have Grealish, I would have suggested Rashford to Grealish, but I think that's also covered. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any need for a major surgery in this team. I think it's fine. McAllister to Grealish for a -4. Already have March and Mitoma. I mean, it depends, right? Again, whether you have the free hit or not, though it doesn't really matter because Grealish also doesn't have a fixture in Gaming 32. So if you feel that it's a bit too much, because the fact that you have a triple up on the on the Brighton team, it might be great because the fact that they do have a double in 34, they do have a double in 37. They also most likely are going to have one more double in either 35 or 36. So from a volume perspective, I think it's fine. But yeah, it does feel like hedging, majority of your bets towards uh, one team and one set of players. Now, don't get me wrong, Mitoma, March, or McAllister, anyone can explode in any given week. If you have three, I think the advantage of having three is that you most likely are not going to miss any hauls. Because let's say if you take out McAllister and then McAllister starts scoring and March and Mitoma are not scoring as high as McAllister, for example, then of course you'll feel bad and you'll kind of regret making that move. But I think it's fine. I mean, moving towards the Grealish is also okay. I know for a hit may or may not work out this week. Grealish does have a better fixture than McAllister, and I think there is haul potential in Grealish. So I think even for a hit, it's absolutely fine. I personally don't think it's a bad move or it's a wrong move. What do you do with Odegaard? I think Odegaard is a sell. Again, depends on whether you have a Saka or a Martinelli already, whether you have the free hit or not. I think those would be some deciding factors in terms of whether to sell Odegaard or not. But I think if I'm looking to keep an Arsenal option, keep an Arsenal mid, I think I'll still look to get towards a Martinelli. Whether I do an Odegaard to Martinelli, whether I do a Saka to Martinelli, in case if I really, really want him. But I think Odegaard can be sold. Even if Odegaard is the only Arsenal midfielder that you have in your team, I think there's enough merit for you to kind of move towards different options because the fact that you have the Brighton mids who are cheaper, you have Grealish who's better potential. Of course, Rashford may not play this week, but he also is a good option to have. At least by gaming 34, I think we should definitely have him if he's fit. And then you have the likes of Salah as well, who's having a fixture in 32 and 34. So because the fact that there are better options out there, I think we can easily sell Odegaard and have different options. Hey Akshat, hello to you. Lately missing your streams. Good to be back. Great to have you back as well. I hope you've been doing fine. I hope you've had a good time in FPL as well. Thoughts on taking a -8 for Rashford to Grealish, Madison to Salah, Saka to Pereira. I mean, again, I'm okay with the moves of Rashford to Grealish and Madison to Salah. Madison Salah particularly looks really good. Just the fact that Andres Pereira looks like a waste of a fifth midfielder spot, considering we're getting majority points from midfield right now. I still feel this fifth option can be better utilized, unless you've decided that you're going to play a 3-4-3 in most weeks, or maybe a 4-4-2 in most weeks. Then that's a different thing. But I still feel I'll try to get in Salah and a Grealish. If I have to get a Grealish, I'll try to get in a Grealish through a different route. Ake or Konate, Nathan Ake for sure. Better defense, better clean sheet potential. Don't think so there's any goal threat in either of them, but I think Nathan Ake looks okay. If you do not have the free hit available, then of course you might move towards a Konate, but I still feel if I'm targeting a Liverpool defender, even if I don't have the Trent money, I'll at least try to see how can I get in Robertson, because I think Robertson and Trent are going to be nailed. I think they're the options to go for if I'm really looking at a Liverpool defender, considering that they are not really keeping. I mean, they didn't start the season well at all. Then they went on the run of 4 or 5 clean sheets when they kept, these many clean sheets together. Now it's still kind of in that position where we've reached that stage where they're also again conceding goals. So it's a bit tricky in terms of going for a Liverpool defender only with the expectation that you will be getting clean sheet points. I think we need to temper the expectations here because of the fact that Liverpool may not keep clean sheets, so you might have to look for something extra from that Liverpool defender, which I think Akonate is not going to give you. So I think it's probably going to be Ake. Who will you have in your team, Edison or Diaz, Ake Stones? I personally would move towards an Edison. I don't know how right now because I right now I do not have enough money to do a Kepa or an Edison or a Raya to an Edison. But I think if I'm looking to go towards a Man City option, I think Edison is absolutely fine. He's nailed, and I don't think so. There's a huge difference between an Edison and a Diaz or Naki. Stones is still debatable because Stones is definitely playing in an out of position role. He's playing in midfield now. That doesn't guarantee that he gets attacking returns or he starts scoring goals or start getting assists. But I mean, there is still some slight potential which you may not get with Diaz or a Stone, Diaz or a Nake. So I think that's the only caveat there. But I think Edison is absolutely fine. I'm currently top of my mini league without Haaland, which is great. But own Kane and Salah. How does Tony to Alvarez and Shaw to Trent for a -4 sound? It doesn't sound that great because the fact that Alvarez is not going to get regular minutes. You're planning to get Haaland in 33 and maybe switch Alvarez before on you're on a free hit in 34 if I've got that right. I still feel it's not worth it because Haaland going without Haaland this week could be very very risky. Great that you've kind of managed to move to the top of your mini league, but I think it's super super risky. As a 1 week punt, not for long term. I still can't afford Haaland at the moment unless I take Kane out. That's the worry, right? Taking Kane out doesn't sound great because he has Bournemouth, but then not having Haaland also isn't great because of the fact that he has Leicester, right? So with a very heavy heart and with huge disappointment, I think I'll move Kane to Haaland. If there's no other way, I'll just make the move. I know it's not ideal, but I mean, not having Haaland, especially when the captaincy is probably going to be 160, 170. His ownership is going to be 160, 170. I think it's a huge, huge risk. Yes, you kind of negating some of that by going towards a Salah and a Kane combination, which again may not be very popular, considering that managers are having to choose between one of them. But I still think I'll make that move. I don't. I Yeah, as Devarga said that he's not going to get much game time. Tempted to captain Salah, but scared to go against the robot. Plus, having Salah seems differential enough. I mean, yeah, having Salah seems differential enough. Right now is a time where you can actually get onto Salah. Not a lot of people are looking to move towards the Salah. And of course, if you captain him, there is a lot of potential against Leeds. Leeds are traditionally a side who do concede a lot of goals, who do concede a lot of chances. They're quite open at the back. But yeah, like betting against the machine, betting against the robot this week, it just feels. I mean, it just feels like a week where we do not have to make things complicated just for the sake of making them, going different or making them complicated. That's what I feel. Play March or Pereira. I'll definitely play March. Mitoma and Estupinan already in your 11. It's fine. I mean, if you feel that it's risky, I mean, Fulham against Everton is a good fixture, but Fulham without somebody like a Mitrovic is not a great proposition to see. Is not a great proposition to own, and that's one of the another reasons for not having Pereira because Mitrovic is currently out, and I don't think so. I mean, I personally don't understand Fulham know a way that they can play without Mitrovic because they're so heavily dependent on that target man on playing with Mitrovic, and the other options are quite bad. I don't think so. There is potential in the Fulham team right now. Plus, also the fact that Fulham don't really have a lot to play, right? I mean, Fulham are probably going to be safe. They're not going to be anywhere near relegation. I don't think so. They have enough to play for in the league right now. So I don't see players would also have that sort of motivation, which uh, you know, would be with the Brighton team because they're still in the hunt for Europe, and I mean there's still an outside chance that they can actually finish in the Champions League spot. I mean that also is a possibility. It looks difficult, but I mean it's not impossible, right? So I think I'll still play March. Free hitting Amy 32, then again, make a certain transfer. I mean you can take out a Saka. I assume you had Saka in your team. So you can take out Don. You can take out Saka, maybe get towards a Martinelli and save that much money, and then utilize that money in maybe 33, 34. Even if that means taking out Saka again, and then moving towards a different option, I think it's absolutely fine. This transfer is anyways going to get wasted. Just try to make use of it and try to rearrange some funds if you can. Sell Salah or Shaw for Nathan Ake. Why am I saying Salah? Sell Chilwell or Shaw for Nathan Ake. Sorry. I think Chilwell is. I mean, Chilwell is sellable. I don't think so. He's a must-have or he's a keep by any capacity. I think Shaw is going to be fine for Gaming 34. Does give you that additional fixture in Gaming 34, which of course Chilwell is not going to give you. Both them are blanking in 32, so I'm not even going to get into that free hit or not no free hit in 32 conversation. I think you keep Chilwell, you keep Shaw on the bench, you take out Chilwell and go for Nathan Ake. I think it's fine. Thoughts on Chilwell to Trent, as I'm not free hitting in Game 32. It's a great transfer to make. If you can manage the funds without taking a lot of hits, I think it's absolutely fine. Not free hitting in 32, it also helps getting in Trent because Trent does have a fixture in 32 and then a double in 34. Another advantage for the Trent is that he is not owned by a lot of managers right now. And I understand that this week it's an away fixture. Liverpool haven't been that great in away games. The clean sheet potential maybe looks bleak as well, but I still feel getting early on Trent is absolutely fine, and I think it's a good move to make. Hi Brian, hello to you. So you'll likely do the Chilwell to Trent move for a hit in gaming 34, if not now. Will you take a hit now to gain the gaming 31? I mean, yes, why not? You're getting the gaming 31 fixture, which is against Leeds, so there is, even if Liverpool don't keep a clean sheet, they still have good attacking potential. I mean, they've generally been a good attack, and I think uh, Trent, especially when he's coming into the midfield, playing in that inverted sort of role, which Cancelo was playing for Man City. I think it's going to benefit him. It's going to benefit Liverpool, and I think there is good potential for Trent to do well. It also becomes a good prospect when we talk about bonus points, right? Because of the fact that Trent would be having those balls, plus he'll be putting in a lot of crosses, maybe creating a lot of big chances, creating chances in general. I think there is good potential with Trent. Start March Fernandez. It's a tricky one. I'll still start Fernandez because of the fact that now Casemiro is back and Ericsson's probably also gonna get minutes. I think having Fernandez is okay. If you do not have a Brighton mid, I think let's put it that way. If March is the only Brighton mid that you have, I'll still play March ahead of Fernandez. But if you already have somebody like a Mitoma or a McAllister playing in your 11, I think I'll start Fernandez and put March on the bench. I have 6.6 and I can't get Grealish. Who do I get? In 6.6, Martinelli is also not possible. As far as I remember, his price is way more than 6.6. 6.8. Otherwise, yeah, he would have been a good transfer to make. We'll quickly check if we have any decent options. I mean, Olise is one option. I think if you're looking to go differential, if you're okay with Palace, I know I say Palace with the word with caution because I understand that we need to temper the expectations there. But I think somebody like an Olise or an Eze, I think it's fine. I mean, you can take a punt on one of those options, revert them back to a Rashford or a Grealish or somebody else for your double in 34. Defender transfers now onwards seems pointless. I mean, they do. I agree. I absolutely agree. They do seem pointless if they're not for a defender who's gonna give you a lot of attacking threat, and if it's just depending on clean sheet points, I think again it does look like a wasted sort of a move because the fact that teams and the big teams especially are gonna go for it. There's the league to play. There are the top four spots to play for. There's Europe to play for. Then there is, I mean, the fight in the relegation zone is still very on, and I think they're going to be less clean sheets. They're going to be more goals scored. And I think, yes, because of the fact that no wingbacks are in form, still, I mean, we can still take our chances with the Trent, jump on him early, try to see the advantage if we can get any. But yeah, you're not wrong in, assuming or saying that defender transfers are probably not worth it right now. Should I do Raya, Kepa to Edison or Chilwell to Diaz? I mean, Edison is cheaper. Maybe Chilwell can be upgraded to a Trent if that option is possible. I think I'll rather do that. Edison is more nailed than Diaz. I mean, I don't see a potential or a chance where Edison is benched unless he's injured or he's suspended or whatever. So I think I'll do the Edison move. Try to see how much money I can have to make upgrades for Chilwell. If you do not have Shaw, maybe make Chilwell to Shaw later on. If you do not have Trent, try to see if you can get towards a Trent from a Chilwell by adjusting your funds maybe somewhere in midfield or maybe downgrading a Kane, for example, if you have a Kane. But yeah, that move is probably in gaming 30 34. I think right now you can do a Raya Kepa to Edison. I still think uh, Raya can be kept, and if you have both these options available, I think Kepa to Edison is absolutely fine. There are some rumors about Kepa losing his place, and because of the fact that Lampard did uh, prefer Mendy in goal, that could still happen, but I think Kepa for me right now still looks like the number one option to go for because of the fact that he's done enough, he's done well in goal, he's made a lot of saves, he's kept Chelsea in certain games, he's kept out few shots, few goals as well for Chelsea, and I think he's done enough to warrant his place currently. But yeah, there's always a possibility that Mendy might be given a couple of games, and then we see a sudden shift of Kepa losing his spot and then Mendy getting a lot of minutes. So I'll rather just not take that chance and just take out Kepa and get in Edison right now. Should I do? I've answered this. Botman Madison out to Trent Olise or Poro Martinelli. Would you recommend other mids like Brighton, Eze or Gray? No, would not recommend Gray. Eze is also Eze is a decent differential, but we've not seen enough. Only a couple of weeks, so we've not seen enough. There's not a huge sample size to go towards an Eze. I mean, it's the same for Olise as well, but Olise is generally more creative. Eze generally has higher goal threat. Both have had similar minutes across the season. I think their prices are also quite similar. Their points scored are also quite similar. So it's not a huge difference between both. It depends on the combinations, the above combination. I think it depends on whether, because Trent is a good player to have. I know he's expensive, but I think there is good potential. I think you can jump on him early. Spurs and it's still a tricky team to predict because yes, they do not have a double. Martinelli also doesn't have a double. So with Poro plus Martinelli, you're getting two fixtures in Game Week 32 and two fixtures in Game Week 34. With Trent, you're getting two fixtures in 34. Of course, single fixture in 32. So getting that additional fixture, and I think it's a more attacking move unless it's really to protect rank, because Potter is also a decent differential to go for. Unless it's really trying to protect rank. If you already have something like a Saka, maybe a Gabriel Jesus as well. I mean, maybe you can move towards the Gabriel Jesus. I think that also is a decent move. You can have Trent Olise. Both are really good differentials. If they come off well this week, I think they're going to give you a huge rank boost. And I think I'll slightly prefer that combination over Poro plus Martinelli. I have no transfers that I want to make, but if I don't use it, then it will be wasted. Depends on your team. You can share your team if you want. We can help you out with the transfer. You don't have to make a move. I mean, unless you really, really, if you can't make a move, or let's say if you do not see any scenario where you really want to make a move, try to see if you can downgrade a keeper. Try to see if you can downgrade one of your mids. Maybe you can do the Saka to Martinelli move. Maybe you can adjust funds in your goalkeepers. I think that's also an option. And yeah, I mean, it sounds a weird sort of a transfer, but it does help you have additional money in gaming 33 and 34, which will be really, really helpful when you are planning to move towards a Salah, when you're planning to move towards a Trent, because these are high value picks, these are high price picks, right? And you might need to do some adjusting in terms of your finances, in terms of your funds when you're making these two transfers. So I think if you maybe you can dead end your second keeper spot. Maybe again, if you do not have the bench boost available, maybe you can dead end your fifth defender. Maybe go very cheap on your fifth defender, 3.8, 3.9, 4 million, and then try to save in some money there. Play with four defenders, play with the back three for most weeks. And if you have to play with four defenders, I think you have that four defender as your safety cover. I think these are certain directions I'll start looking at, and then I'll pick point in terms of specific players and specific things that I can do with certain options in the team. Start Botman and Estepinian. If you already have Trippier, you don't have to start Botman. Aston Villa away is a tricky fixture. Aston Villa are in good form. Watkins is in really, really good form, and I think Villa are a good attack overall. So I think if you have Trippier covered, you don't have to go for a Botman. I think Trippier is absolutely fine. It does protect your rank. Estupinian against Chelsea is also an away game. I still feel Aston Villa are in better form as compared to Chelsea right now. Chelsea are a very odd team to predict. Uh, and I still feel there is potential to keep a clean sheet against Chelsea. I understand that it's Brighton, and Brighton are gonna go absolutely gung ho in terms of attack. They're gonna be on the front foot from the word go, and they might leave some spaces for the Chelsea team to get into as well. So I think it's not looking that great for the second defender, Newcastle defender or Estupinan. But I think when we talk about the attacking threat there may just be enough for Estupinan to get something from the game, which a Botman would not give you. So I think for me, it's still going to be Estupinan, and also the fact that you've anyways covered the Newcastle defense. What would be a wildcard draft according to you? So if you're wildcarding right now, it depends again. I think a lot depends, and I keep saying this like a broken record, but at the end of the day, it does depend on whether you're free hitting in Game Week 32 or not. So if you are free hitting in Game Week 32, you can ignore the blank. You can try to maximize with options from Man City, Man United, Brighton, and even throw in a couple of Liverpool players. I think if I'm on a wild card right now this week, I'll definitely look to make way for a Trent, make way for a Salah as well. I don't think the Chilwell is required in that wild card draft. I'll try to go heavy on Brighton, two Brighton mids. Maybe go towards the steal if you do not want to go Estupinian, or Estupinian is absolutely fine. Go Edison if you are not willing to take a lot of chances, a lot of risk on that Man City defender, on that nailed Man City defender. I think Edison is absolutely fine. And then you have to kind of maintain a balance between where to go, Shaw, Rashford, both, or just Shaw right now. Make a plan to get to Rashford. I mean, you can start with Olise, see him for a couple of weeks, get back Rashford in gaming 34. Once we have information that he's fit and he's fine, in terms of your forwards, you can look at Haaland. You can, of course, Haaland has to be there. Then I think the other two spots are interesting. I personally won't go for a Kane. I know there's a risk involved here because Kane is quite high owned. But I think when you're on a wild card, I think that gives you an advantage to shift that Kane money and move towards the Salah, which anyways majority of the people are gonna do in gaming 33 or 34. So I think you're ahead of the curve. You will get one good fixture. You'll also get gaming 32 fixture, which again I understand that people free hitting anyways will be getting Salah in, but it does give you that one additional game week fixture. So I think these are some thoughts in terms of the wildcard team, and I think this is where I'll start. Rashford to Martinelli, Bruno to Grealish, Chilwell to Trent for a 8 -8. I don't have my free hit for 32 or hold off until next week for Trent. So Rashford to Martinelli is fine. Bruno to Grealish is fine. Basically, letting off two Man United attackers. So that kind of gives you a slight disadvantage for 32. Martinelli doesn't have a double, so that's one fixture less as well. Grealish is okay because he's also doubling, and I think he's fine. Chilwell to Trent for an 8. So if you do not have a free hit, Martinelli, Trent, and Grealish does blank in 32. So that's one blank player on your bench already, or in your 11, one less player basically. Martinelli and Trent does give you. I think it's fine. You can get in Trent this week as well. There is enough potential for Trent to get an attacking return. We saw that he did really well in the second half against Arsenal, and I think that could continue as well. So I think if you're attacking, I think it's absolutely fine. I like the moves. I personally would do it as well if I didn't have the free hit and I would wanted to, I wanted to attack the gaming 31 fixtures with a strategy to also prepare my team for 33 and 34. What do we think about Stones? Is a good option. Is continuing to play in midfield. Is doing really well. Now, whether he's going to give us attacking returns, I'm still not very sure there. But I think when we talk about minutes, I think that this really spells good for minutes. Yes, he was substituted in 55 minutes in the last game, but I think it's still a risky option. Maybe a bit riskier than somebody like a Diaz or an Akanji or an Ake as well. Definitely a lot more riskier than Edison because Edison is going to be very much nailed in that Man City team. But I think he's a good option. Don't really expect a lot of attacking returns and suddenly Stones scoring goals and giving you assists. But I think in terms of minutes, if you're okay with that risk, I think he's fine. Start Allison or Steele. I want to start Allison, but he has an orange mark. He didn't train. That's why he has that slight flag right now. I think in the press conference, Klopp said he's fine. So you can start Allison. I don't think so. There's a problem with that. Play a short Botman already playing Trippier, Estupinian. My other defender Zuma playing a 3-4-3. There's a very tiny or a very slight chance that Shaw is back this week. I mean, there is still very, very, very less potential for Shaw to be back. Maybe he gets minutes off the bench as well. So you are running the risk of maybe a 1-pointer, but and it's against Forest as well. So maybe I'll just play Botman. If I have to play one of the two, I think I'll still move towards a Botman. Zuma is still, again, if I'm playing a back three, I'll still try to go. I know I said that maybe a double up isn't that great, but I think if these are the I can see four options. It's Trippier, Botman, two Newcastle, one Shaw, one is Trippier, the last one is Zuma. So if I'm playing a back three, I still think my options will be Trippier, Estupinian, and Botman. I think I'll still play Botman ahead of Zuma and Shaw as well. Shaw because of the minutes risk, and Zuma just because of the fact that I don't think so they're going to keep a clean sheet this week. Arsenal are a great attack, and I don't think so. Yeah, they're going to keep a clean sheet in that one. So I think I'll still take my chances with a double up on Newcastle and then play Estupinian along with them. If I'm playing a 3-4-3, start Rico, Henry, or Ben White. Henry has a great fixture. Wolves don't really score a lot of goals. In fact, they're the worst attack in the league. And I think they are also worse in terms of goal scoring when they are playing at home. They don't have a good record at all when they're playing at home. So there is a lot of potential in Henry. He also has some attacking threat. Maybe not much, but yeah, he does have some attacking threat. Ben White against West Ham. I mean, Arsenal do have potential, but Arsenal have shown tendency that they can concede goals. I think it's not a very popular choice, but I think I'll still play Henry over White. I know not a lot of people would do that, but I think West Ham can still sneak a goal in there. And I think Henry definitely has the the better fixture or the worst attack that he's playing against. Thoughts on Grealish for Odegaard and keep Rashford? I think it's absolutely fine. Odegaard is dispensable. I mean, you can take out Odegaard, get in different options. There are better picks in midfield. Keep Rashford, keep faith in him. See him for a couple of weeks. Of course, Game Week 32 is not going to play, but by 33, 34, you'll have an inkling. You'll have some idea in terms of what is his fitness, whether he's back in training, whether he's getting minutes in 33. I don't think so. He's going to play this week. But yeah, I think it's absolutely fine. You keep Rashford, hold, wait for more information, and move on to a different pick. I mean, you can make a case for both. You don't have to. There's no right or wrong answer here. There's no right answer that you have to sell Rashford. I sold Rashford, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you also have the same plans for your team. But I think Grealish in for Odegaard is absolutely fine. What was my transfer? My transfer was taking out Rashford, getting in Grealish. That's basically a 3-4-3. I have Shaw on the bench, who's going to be on the bench. And the next two moves, game week 32, I'm free hitting, so that kind of, just takes care of itself. And 33, 34, the idea is to drop out Kane, drop out Saka, and then get in Isak, for example. I think that's one of the moves that will help me move towards the Salah, and then move Chilwell also for Trent. I think those will be the moves that I'll be doing. And yeah, I mean, depending on where we are and what information we have in 34, I think there is potential or there is enough funds for me to move a Watkins to a Nunes, or a Watkins downgrade to a Martial as well. I still feel that one of those moves could be very interesting, because the fact that most of the people would be trying to go towards to Liverpool, and they might not take a lot of risk, would be kind of stuck with the fact that they maybe have Rashford, or they are planning to get Rashford, and they have Shaw as well. Not a lot of people would have that Rashford, Shaw plus Fernandes combination as well. A lot of people have sold Fernandes. So I think moving towards Martial, if he's fit. I mean, if he's fit is a big term. And I say that in double quotes. And Nunes as well, if he's getting those starts, and if he maybe even plays 60, 70 minutes, I think there's potential in Nunes as well. So those could be additional moves for a -8, I think. And that's going to be, I think, 2 hits in game week 33, 34. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of my team. Rashford to Martinelli, good. I think it's fine. Gives you a fixture in 32. If you're not free hitting in 32, I think it's a great transfer to make. Saves you from a blank player or a blank game week option in 32, and also gives you a fixture in 34. And yeah, I think if you're free hitting in game week 32, I think Rashford to Grealish is probably the better pick, but I think Rashford to Martinelli is absolutely fine. What is the status on Shaw, and will Chilwell start given his UCL fixture? I mean, he got a red card in the UCL game, so he's not going to be a part of that UCL game. So he's suspended. That makes his FPL prospects or Premier League start prospects a lot better. Though Lampard said in his press conference that he's going to give minutes to players and people who haven't really got a lot of minutes. Considering Chelsea have such a bloated squad, I think there's a high possibility that Chilwell gets benched for this game, and then we see a different option. Also, if Lampard is playing a back four, I think there's a high possibility of Chilwell getting benched and Cucurella playing in that left back spot for the Chelsea team. So that is a possibility. Shaw, the status on Shaw right now, I think what we were told that he's not far off, and there's a possibility that he plays or he features in this game this week. But I think when we're looking at subsequent weeks, let's say 33, 34, not even 32, because 32 Shaw is blanking. But when we're looking at 33 and 34, I think Shaw should be fine and he should be okay. So this week, maybe not. He doesn't get the full 90, but I think in 33, 34, he should be fine. Should I do Gundogan instead of Grealish? It's a good differential, but I think there is enough potential in Grealish. And if more than 500k managers are transferring in Grealish, maybe even more. Let's quickly see how much is that number. 800 plus 850k transfers, like 8 lakh transfers for Grealish this week. So I think that kind of speaks volumes in terms of what is that potential for Grealish. Yes, the last 2 weeks, because of the fact that he's gotten 4 attacking returns in the last 2 games, it's not going to be every week. But I think when you're talking about Grealish's potential, I think it's still a lot more than a Gundogan. Yes, Gundogan is playing in a slightly more advanced role in the center of the field, but I think Grealish, especially in the short run, is okay in terms of minutes, and I think he has more chances of getting attacking returns as compared to a Gundogan. You don't have to go for a differential here. Just because of the fact that you're trying to chase rank, I think Grealish is fine, and you try to move towards other options in terms of differentials. Maybe look towards an Ulise, maybe look towards a differential forward, for example. I think those would be my moves. Kulusevski or Mahrez, is Tony to Haaland worth a -8? I think anything to Haaland is worth a -8, -4, whatever. Kulusevski or Mahrez, both aren't great options. If I'm taking a punt for a 1 week punt, I think Mahrez is okay this week. High chances that he starts this week, but I don't think so. He's a regular starter, long term starter, and I think there's going to be some rotation in place of Mahrez. Silva can play there. Foden might return, and then Foden might take some minutes off him as well. So plus maybe Alvarez can play in one of the wide positions. That's also a possibility. And because of that, I'm not very confident in Mahrez. If I had to choose one, I'll still choose Mahrez over Kulusevski. But if that blocks you from your third Man City spot, which is basically a defender, maybe an Edison, maybe an Ake, maybe an Akanji, Stones, Diaz, who still feel they're more nailed than somebody like a Mahrez. And again, if you do not have Haaland, I think yeah, I'll still move towards that. Tony to Haaland worth -8 is absolutely fine. I mean, Haaland is essential. I feel he's essential. There's a lot of potential in this week with regards to captaincy. There's a huge chance that you end up losing a lot of rank, losing a lot of points if you do not have Haaland this week. So I think it's fine. What three of these would you play? Trippier, Botman, Chilwell, Zinchenko, Henry. So I'll definitely play one of the Newcastle defense. I would not want to double up because the fact that it's against Aston Villa, it's an away game. Aston Villa at home are a strong opposition. Watkins is in good form. Aston Villa are a good attack, so I think Trippier is absolutely fine. I think if I'm taking my chances, I'll still take my chances with Trippier plus a Zinchenko plus a Henry. I think Chilwell against Brighton is. I mean, there's a slight chance that he may get benched and he may get limited minutes. And I think if I'm going a little bit safer, I think I'll still go for a Trippier, Chilwell, Henry combination. But I think if I'm looking to attack a little bit, I think it's going to be Trippier, Zinchenko, and Henry. I think it's not going to be a popular option, but I think Henry against Wolves is undervalued and underplayed. I think he's a good option this week. Great potential for a clean sheet. Saka to Grealish. I mean, yeah, Saka to Grealish is absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with it. It does give you a blank or additional blank in Game Week 32. So if you're free hitting, then maybe not. But so if you're not free hitting, then maybe not. But if you're free hitting in Game Week 32, or if you have enough options as you're playing 11, maybe you have 9, 10, 11 players already, I think it's fine. What do you think about Chilwell to Robertson? Is a good option, good differential. I still feel Trent is the better pick, but if you do not have money to go towards a Trent, I think Robertson is the next best option. Best option, sorry. Um, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that move. I think it's absolutely fine. Still, the preferred option is Trent, but again, if money is an issue, I think Robertson is okay. Olise or Eze, the stats are not very different. So Olise is generally an assister. He's a creator. I think he will create chances. He will get you more assists. Eze is more of a direct goal threat sort of a player who will take a lot more shots, who will be a lot closer to goal as well. And there is more potential when you talk about absolute goal scoring with an Eze. The sample size right now is very small. They've just had a manager change. It's just been a couple of fixtures. The numbers are looking quite bloated, especially when we talk about their attacking numbers. Both have similar minutes across the season. Both have similar points across the season, and their cost also, I think, maybe same. If not, point maybe a difference of point one, point two, something like that. So I think take your pick. Olise is probably going to be the slightly more popular options. Eze is maybe the higher differential one. You're not going to go very wrong with either of these. I think it's fine. The community choice is Olise, but I don't see a problem with going with Eze as well. I'd probably take my chances and take some risk and go Eze. I think it's absolutely fine. Guys, about an hour and 15 minutes to go. Please feel free to add any questions, anything that you want to ask, anything that you would want to check in the chat in the comments below. Excuse me. Good morning to you, Rajesh. I have the same defenders as you. Can you talk through your logic of benching Shaw? I can see all of these teams conceding. Unfortunately, I also do. I also do feel that all of these teams are going to concede, but players like Trippier, Chilwell, Estupinian have better attacking potential. Though having said that, Botman I think is pretty much clear. It doesn't give us a lot of goal threat. It's not a very standout or a clear clean sheet game for Newcastle. I think Watkins and Aston Villa at home are a good, strong proposition. So there goes Botman. With Shaw, there is a slight chance that he gets very, very less or very small chance that he gets a start. I don't think so. He'll be rushed back in straight away. I don't think so. Because of the fact that we also have lost, or United has lost Varane and Martinez as well. I think maybe Ten Hag takes a chance with him, but I still feel he's not going to do that. I think I think Maguire's going to start, and it's probably going to be one of the options between a Lindelof or a Shaw as the ball playing centre back. I still think it's going to be Lindelof, and Shaw's maybe going to get an appearance in from the bench, and I think that's one of the reasons I am not very heavy in terms of starting Shaw. Though you can always take a chance with Shaw if he gets about 60 minutes, gets you a clean sheet. I think you've struck gold. But I am personally not seeing this as a game where Shaw starts. It's against Forest. It's an away game. It's going to be a tricky game, and I see Lindelof starting with Maguire, and I don't think so. Shaw is going to get a start, and that's the reason I've not started Shaw. I think he's going to be eased into the team. Maybe he gets about 30-40 minutes, maybe a half at max. I don't think so. It's going to be more than that. And I see United conceding in that game. Forest at home are a strong proposition. Again, they play with a lot of vigor. They play a lot of. They generally are a lot more attacking at home. They don't sit back and defend, which they might do when they are traveling and they're playing away games. And I think no possible less possible. I can't say more, no possibility, but less possibility of a clean sheet. Plus the fact that he's not nailed for 90 minutes, and what I mean by that is that he may not get the full 90. I think are enough reasons for me to bench Shaw. So that's where I am. I kind of was thinking to maybe play Shaw and then bench Chilwell, but I think with terms of minutes, it's maybe not the same risk because of course Chilwell is fit, but because the fact that Lampard said that he's gonna give minutes to certain players who have not had minutes in the season, I think Chilwell can get benched. We'll quickly check Twitter as well if we have any information, anything that we can share with you guys. Again, don't leave the transfers. Just a side note, a suggestion: just don't leave the transfers till very late. I think there are there's always a possibility, always a chance that we can get the servers to crash and not finish the moves, not make the transfer. So just don't leave the transfers till the very end, and I think we should be fine. I mean, the first game is also Aston Villa Newcastle, right? So it's not a huge deal to discuss there. It's not a huge deal to kind of look out for as well. I mean, popular options like a Watkins or a Botman or a Trippier. I mean, most of them are going to start, so it's not going to be a huge deal. I don't think so. We're going to get huge leaks as well. So yeah, that's where we are. I have Madison. Should I do Madison to Grealish? What about a -4 for a keeper? So I was in a similar situation, basically Madison or Rashford to Grealish, where I chose Rashford to Grealish. Madison will definitely go out for my own team. So Madison to Grealish is absolutely fine. If you're free hitting in 32, I think it's a fair move to make. You most likely are not going to play Madison unless you really have to play Madison this week. And I think it's a tricky fixture against Man City as well. Though Madison scoring against Man City and wiping off that clean sheet when we have gone for players like Edison, Nathan Ake, Stones, Diaz, and all of those players, I think that'll be classic FPL. But yeah, I still feel on pure logic, I think Madison is a sell. -4 for keeper is also fine. I was also thinking on the same lines, but I personally don't have that money. Now, if you do have that money, I mean, you can rearrange a Kepa slight chance of maybe getting rotated in the upcoming games, and you can move towards maybe an Edison. I think that's a potential option. By that you're gaining a double in 34. You're probably betting on the most nailed Man City defense option out there, and I think it's absolutely fine. Yes, you will feel that Edison's maybe not gonna return that hit, but when we look at gaming 33, 34, also double in 37, I think there are enough fixtures to for an Edison to help you recover that hit, and I think it's absolutely fine. You can take a hit for somebody like an Edison, play him this week, high potential for a clean sheet, and I think is that's just okay. Thinking ahead, sorry, to the double game week. My plans to bring in Salah for Martinelli. So I have Salah, Grealish, March, Mitoma, and Rashford. If fit, I think that's possibly the best five to kind of go for. Kane and Haaland if Rashford is not fit. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely fine. I think we still do need to make a couple of options, at least a couple of transfer plans in terms of our heads, with or without Rashford in them. I still feel Rashford should be okay. Again, there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of communication online in terms of what's happening with Rashford, his injury, what Ten Hag has said, was what United forums are saying, what Rashford himself is saying, what the doctors are saying. It's just a lot of chaos, and I think we just need to prepare a little bit ahead of time, and then make a couple of plans just in case if Rashford is not available. I think uh, we won't be caught off guard, right? And I think that's absolutely fine. I can't afford upgrading to Fernandez without selling Kane, which I don't want to. I mean, to be honest, Kane is absolutely fine. We still have to see Fernandez actually getting those returns, because even if Kane is not having the best numbers, or even if Tottenham are not generating the highest XG numbers, they're maybe not generating the highest chances. And because of the fact that players like Kane, players like Son, they're clinical finishers and they probably don't even need those many chances. They're still, at least Kane is still still giving us FPL points. With Fernandez, he is generating decent numbers. He is creating chances for fun. He is a good assister of the ball, but we've not seen. I mean, he's not returned in the last 4 or 5 fixtures, 4 or 5 games, maybe even more. The last return that Fernandez had was in Game 24, which is against Leicester, where he scored 2 assists. So, I mean, it's fine. Not having Bruno Fernandez is also absolutely okay. He's not a must-have, to be very honest. I think it's okay to have two. It's safer to have two United options for Game Week 34, who are most likely going to be a benched Shaw right now, who's going to play in 34. I think who most likely is going to be fine. And then we have Rashford. I think if Rashford is fit, he's going to be in majority of the FPL team. So I think that's the safety blanket that you have, or move towards. And then is where you can maybe go towards a Martial as well. I don't think so. A lot of people are looking at Martial, considering the fact that he doesn't remain fit and he's not done that for the whole season. But he could be an option. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go towards a Fernandez. Best options replace Rashford in 34 with. So in case if you again, I'm assuming you would have Grealish. So I think Grealish is possibly the number one option. March Mitoma would be second. Even having a Martinelli is not the worst option out there. I know a lot of people would look at maybe a double up on that Man City midfield. Maybe have Haaland, have Rashford, have Haaland, sorry, have Grealish, and then maybe a Mahrez. That is an attacking option, but if we have security in terms of Mahrez getting more minutes, that is a potential option. But I think money would be an issue there. Um, if not him, then maybe we can look at a Liverpool option as well. But it's not that we have some clear Liverpool midfield options right now. I still don't think so. They're standout Liverpool midfielders apart from Salah to go for at the moment. So I think having a Arsenal player is absolutely fine for for 34. I think it's a good fixture in 34. I mean, it was against Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea at home is still a goal scoring fixture. So it's not the end of the world if you have a single game week player. Um, Another strategy, again, if you do not have a third Brighton option, is to maybe move towards the McAllister and have March, Mitoma, and McAllister as your three. But I just feel it feels like a bit of an overkill by going with three Brighton options. Though that's still an option or still a strategy to kind of differentiate from the crowd, because most of the people or most of the managers are going to have Mitoma, March, or any of the combinations of two Brighton mids. And I don't think so. A lot of people are looking at a third Brighton mid. But yeah, that could be an option if you do not have an Estupinian or a Steele in your team. And Olise could be an option as well. In 34, he's, I think, against West Ham. by the time we will probably have some more information, some more data around the Crystal Palace team. Though I think the juicy fixtures or the advantage taking fixtures are actually Southampton away, Everton home in 32, and then Wolves away in 33. So those are actually cream fixtures. But yeah, I mean, we'll still get some idea about maybe moving towards the Crystal Palace option. I think that could be a potential option as well. So I mean, there are different routes to go for. Maybe by 34, if Almiron is fine against Southampton, I think he can also be an option. Would look at a Spurs option. West Ham is also, it's Palace and Man City. I think maybe a cheaper alternative could be Benrahma as well. So there are potential options to go for. But yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks will give us more insights and more information in terms of which ones to lean towards. And this is only a case if Rashford is not fit, right? If he's fit, I think that five in midfield is pretty much set. Should I sell Tony for Haaland for a -4? Of course, I mean, Tony has to be sold and Haaland has to be gained or brought in the team. I think even if it's for a hit, I mean, even if this was for a -8, I think Haaland has potential to score free goals, to score 4 or 5. I don't know how many goals in a game, whatever that number is, or whatever possible. And I think because the fact that majority of FPL managers are going to captain Haaland this week, I think it's a huge risk not to have Haaland or not to, it's a huge risk to basically go against Haaland this week. Hey Soumya, hello to you. Thinking of Trent instead of Chilwell for a -4, which is absolutely fine. I think getting early on Trent could be beneficial because you're gaining a fixture in 31, you're gaining a fixture in 32, and those are good attacking fixtures for Liverpool. I mean, when we look at Leeds away and for Forest at home, I think they are bankable attacking fixtures where a Trent can give you an attacking return. There's always a possibility that Liverpool does concede against Leeds and Forest, and that's not great when we talk about their clean sheet potential. But I think it's fine. This week it's against Leeds. Liverpool traditionally don't play that great or haven't had a great record this season in away fixtures, but I think it's Leeds we're talking about, and I think again we have to temper the expectations here because Leeds are quite a poor defense at the moment, and there's good potential for a trend this week. Start March or Chilwell. I'll start March. Irrespective of whether you have a Mitoma starting for you or a McAllister starting for you, I think there's good reason to start a March this week over a Chilwell. I think Chilwell, the risk with Chilwell is also minutes because of the fact that Lampard did say that he's probably going to rest a few players and going to give chances to certain options, certain players who have not gotten game time this season. So I think all those signs are indicating towards a March starting. Ben or Zinchenko or McAllister, choose two. I'll choose Ben and McAllister. McAllister because he's from the Brighton team. There is enough potential for McAllister. Even if you, as I said earlier, even if you have a March or a Mitoma, I think doubling up on the Brighton midfield this week is absolutely fine. And Ben has a good bankable defensive clean sheet fixture. I think Wolves aren't really probably one of the worst sides in terms of scoring goals. At home, and I think a clean sheet is on the card. So I think I'll go for Ben and McAllister as the two. Triple Brighton midfield, it feels like a bit much. So in case if you already have March and Mitoma, and if you're starting both, I think in that scenario only I'll bench McAllister, and then the answer changes to me and Zinchenko. I think Zinchenko, Arsenal's defense is still a bit wobbly. I mean, they have conceded goals. They are not keeping as many clean sheets as they were early on in the season. So it's not the most dependable defense. It's not the elite defense that it was earlier. But I think, yeah, again, if the idea here is to attack a little bit, go aggressive, then triple Brighton mid will give you that aggression, and there's a high chance that any of those can return, and you won't basically miss out on any return. So, and that's the plus. The negative is that you're putting a lot of eggs in one basket, and if let's say Chelsea eke out a 1-0 sort of a draw or 1-0 sort of a game, and they win that game by one goal, I think then it'll be chaotic, right? Because three of your midfielders are blanking then. So if you want to spread the risk, you go Ben and Zinchenko. In case if you're going aggressive, then I have no irks in going towards a triple Brighton midfield as well. Only in a scenario if you're really chasing, otherwise not. Guys, about an hour to go. In case if you have more questions, please feel free to keep adding it in the chat, in the comments. Hit like, hit subscribe. If you're new around here, do subscribe to the Insanely Football YouTube channel as well. recently we reached 2000 subs on YouTube. So thank you so much for all your support, all your love. It's been a very overwhelming feeling since the very beginning, since we started doing FPL content a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, this is where we are, and thank you so much again for all your love and support. We do have a blog as well, which is insanelyfootball.com. So in case if you have not checked it out, please feel free to check out in your own time. We do a weekly blogs there. There's a Insanely Football podcast as well. The link of that is on, in the description, and as well as in the Instagram bio as well. You can go there and listen to it. I think we generally do a lot of short form content every week, which is basically doing short, quick, snappy videos where we are talking about certain aspects and then only covering specific topics. But if you are somebody who likes a longer format and would, love to have a longer, or love to hear a longer discussion, I think the Insanely Football pod is where you should head. And I think that should be really, really helpful for you to understand how to plan, what to do, what kind of transfers to make, how to best optimize your team for the upcoming game weeks. I think that should be helpful. Start three: Trippier, Burn, Estupinian, Shaw, Mings, Trippier, Burn, Mings, Trippier, Burn, Estupinian, Shaw. So we have to start three of out of these options. I'll definitely start Trippier. Gives me safety, protects my rank. Um, Estupinian also against Chelsea has potential. I mean, it's Aston Villa. Mings may not keep a clean sheet, and then Burn is basically again facing Watkins. So it's not ideal. I mean, I don't want to start Shaw, but in this sort of a scenario, I don't mind starting Shaw because then I'll possibly be avoiding, losing my clean sheet points to either of these defenders. And uh, I'll just hope for a no clean sheet in this particular game, because if it is a 0-0 draw, you would possibly curse yourself by benching any of these options. But I think if I'm starting three, I'll probably start Trippier, Estupinian, and maybe take a chance on Shaw if you feel that Shaw is probably not gonna get you minutes, and maybe you risk going for a one pointer. I still think uh, I mean, it's a tricky one. I'll still take my chances with the Mings, spread the risk a little bit in case if Newcastle does not score, or if it's a low scoring game, if it's a 0-0 sort of a game, maybe we eke out a clean sheet from both Trippier and Mings. But tricky position to be in. I mean, you won't be wrong by going any of these options, but I think it's probably going to be Mings, Trippier, and Estupinian, which are going to be the slightly safer options. Otherwise, you can take a chance on Shaw as well. Who do I take out, Raya or Kepa for Edison? I think I'll take out Kepa. Slight chances of him losing a place, though I think it's still maybe a little bit overplayed. But yeah, I mean, when Lampard was at helm of Chelsea, when he was in charge of Chelsea, he did prefer Mendy, and I think maybe he gives a chance, a start to Mendy, and if Mendy does well, who knows if Mendy's gonna retain that place, and maybe now Kepa starts appearing and featuring on the bench. So I'd rather just not take that chance. Raya is a nailed option. He makes more saves as well. Decent for bonus points. It's not a huge difference in terms of fixtures as well. So I think I'll just avoid that risk with Kepa. Take out Kepa, get an Edison, and then keep Raya as well. Madison to Grealish, Mahrez. I look at Grealish. Irrespective of how popular he has become, I still think Grealish is the better option. And Chilwell to Trent. I think I'll do both the moves. Really good moves. Madison to Grealish, Chilwell to Trent. Gives you a fixture, gives you a kind of balance of a blank player in 32 and then a player having a fixture in 32. So if if yeah, free hit is probably not a consideration anyway, because you are considering either basically one of the Man City mids. So I think it's fine. Madison to Grealish, Silver to Trent. Is double Brentford defense okay? Raya plus me. It's a good defense to back this week, considering the fact that Wolves don't score a lot of goals, and they do. They are in fact the worst side to score goals at home. So I think when we talk about absolute clean sheet points, I think Brentford does have good potential this week. We're triple captaining Haaland this week. I mean, if you still have the triple captain left, and if you're not free hitting, I'm assuming that you're not free hitting or wildcarding or bench boosting in 34. So if you're not doing any of that, I think wait for the game week 34 double and triple captain Haaland in that week. I think there is better potential. Two fixtures, good fixtures. Haaland can end up scoring 5 or 6 goals, right? So I think if you're not using any chips in 34, use that. If you're using any chip, I mean, because if any case, if you're using a wild card or a free hit or a bench boost, whatever, you won't be able to use the triple captain chip. So in case if you're using a chip, then maybe wait for game week 37. Now, The issue with Gaming 37 is that I'm assuming that you're not using a chip in 37. The issue with 37 is that maybe by that time the league is done, uh, Haaland may get a rest. You don't know that, so that's a slight risk that you take. But and this week it's the fixture is okay. The fixture is absolutely fine. Maybe a slight chance because the Champions League game that Haaland does get a rest, or if not a rest, at least gets some limited minutes. So that's the only caveat there. But I think if you're not using any chips in 34, use it in 34. Otherwise, 34, 37, sorry, 31 and 37 could be potential options. I'll still take my chances with 37 and not this week. Start Edison or Raya. I'll start Edison. Both options are good this week. Both have clean sheet potential. I'll still start Edison. I think he's fine. Zinchenko, Estopinian to start. Tricky one. But I think it's actually a tricky one. I'll still start. See, on paper, I think Zinchenko has a slightly better fixture because he is facing the slightly weaker team. Though I still think West Ham and Chelsea are both pretty average right now in terms of their attacking potential. But I think it's a close one. I think I'll still take my chances with Zinchenko over two, but it's not by much, to be very honest. I think Estupinian, because the fact that Brighton, sorry, play an attacking game and they do, they do have a tendency to concede goals. Even if they score 3 or 4 goals, they have a tendency to score one, concede one. Sorry, I think that's probably going to happen this week again. Though Chelsea aren't really a team that give you a lot of confidence when we talk about their attacking threat, but I mean, yeah, I'll still start Zinchenko just by a little bit. I'm free hitting in 32, so don't want to waste my transfer this week. Should I sell Chilwell, Shaw, Rashford, and for whom? So Rashford, I think you keep Shaw. He's going to be fine by maybe 34. The decision is between Chilwell and Rashford. I mean, if you have enough money, you can move towards a Chilwell to Trent. If you're okay with, if you're maybe chasing, I think that's an option. Otherwise, you can downgrade a Chilwell and move towards a Man City defender. I think that's also an option. And with Rashford, you just keep him this week. You bench him this week. 32, he's anyways not having a fixture. By 33, we'll have an idea in terms of what's happening with Rashford. Or by 34, we'll at least have clear idea in terms of whether he's going to start this week or not, or in 34 or not. And I think, yeah, I mean, with these three moves, in case if you want to go aggressive, you either go Chilwell to Trent or you go Rashford to a Grealish. Because with Grealish, what will happen? You are getting a game week 31 fixture. Anyways, you're free hitting 32. That doesn't really matter. 33 also decent game, and then 34 is a double. So the advantage is one additional fixture. The disadvantage is that you'd probably have to get back Rashford again if Rashford is fine. And if you do not want to do that, you do the Chilwell to a Man City player, a Man City defender, or a Chilwell to a Trent. I still prefer Chilwell to a Trent because there is more upside there. But in case if you're feeling for the Man City defense, if you feel that they are the better defense to target, you do Chilwell to a Man City defender. Raimi, Zinchenko, Trippier, Trent, March, Matoma, Fernandez, Kane, Watkins, Haaland, captain thoughts. Raimi double up is fine. Zinchenko, Trippier, Trent is also fine. March, Matoma, Fernandez. I think it's a good team. Haaland captain is also fine. I don't think so. There's any problem with that. I'm from the future. Saka is gonna haul. Sorry. Let's hope he does. Martinelli has been scoring a lot of points in the recent games, and Saka's numbers have dropped off, especially since Gabriel Jesus has come back. Now, it may not concern a lot of managers because, anyways, most of the FPL managers might move on from Saka. I think the ones that are not having the free hit available for 32, I think it's a bit tricky for them because they need to have an Arsenal mid, maybe a couple of Arsenal players for 32. But yeah, let's just really hope that Saka does well and he does haul big because I think we need to get a haul. I think apart from that 18 points and maybe that 12 pointer, I think in the last 6 or 7 weeks he's not really hauled much, so he's not really done much. Start De Gea or Raya. I'll start Raya. Better fixture, high possibility of a clean sheet. Wolves at home aren't really that great. David De Gea against Forest. I mean, Forest at home could be a tricky game to navigate. Plus of the fact that maybe Maguire and Lindelof are going to play as centre backs, and I'm not very confident there. I really am scared with that prospect of Maguire, partnering with Lindelof as our two centre backs. I mean, it's going to be hard watch for United fans this week. Estupinian or me or Botman. I think out of these three options, the best option for clean sheet is me. The maybe the most higher upside option is Estupinian. So if you want to play safe, you go me. If you want to play a little bit more aggressive and you're targeting the higher upside, you go Estupinian. I'll definitely bench Botman because I'm assuming you'll anyways have Trippier as your Newcastle cover. What's your transfer this week? My transfer was taking out Rashford and getting Grealish. The next two moves or the next 2 weeks, I'm playing a free hit in 32, 33, 34 would be, taking care of Saka, taking Saka out, getting in Salah, taking Kane out, getting in Isak to, rearrange the funds, and then moving towards a Trent as well by 34. So that is where I will be. Martinelli or March. Safer option is Martinelli. The more aggressive is March. Depending on what you fancy, I think both options are good. If you're trying to protect rank, trying to consolidate rank, go Martinelli. If you're trying to chase, go against the crowd a little bit, maybe go March. Though I think March is also decently owned by now, so I don't think so. The difference is going to be that high, but I think yeah, that should be your starting point in terms of which way to go. Would you go Raya Kepa for Edison? Raya Kepa for Edison. Kepa to Edison is fine, or Odegaard to Grealish. I will plan free hit next week. I think Odegaard to Grealish is more aggressive because of the higher upside with Grealish. I mean, Grealish is a player who can give you 10, 12 points, maybe 8 to 10 points, 8 to 12 points, something like that. Raya to Kepa feels like a 6 pointer to a 6 pointer at max. Edison is not really a player who does give you assists. I mean, yes, they can be an odd assist, maybe 3 bonus points, but it's not going to happen. So I think I'll do the Odegaard to Grealish move. Me or Zinchenko, tough one again. I think me for the clean sheet, Zinchenko. I think over both fixtures and considering both players, I still want to play me, but it's not a huge difference. Though Wolves are definitely a far worse attack than West Ham, and West Ham can score. So I think just about me. I have 8 players blanking in Gaming 32. Should I roll the transfer this week? I already have used the free hit. If you have 8 players blanking in Gaming 32 and if you do not have the free hit, don't roll it this week. Try to get in a player who has a fixture in 32 and can give you a fixture for 34 as well. Those are Arsenal players, those are Newcastle players, those are Liverpool players. So, considering that you will have 8 blank players, I'm assuming the keeper as well. So, basically, you will end up with 4 on the bench, and then you are left with 7 players in your 11. So, try to maybe take a hit as well. I don't mind taking a hit because the fact that you are setting up for 32 and then you can also set up for 34 as well. So see what transfers you can make, which can help you navigate 32 and 34. But yeah, I don't think so rolling makes any sense. I mean, you can always roll though. Use that additional transfer, maybe take additional hits. So if you feel that you can get to a player who's going to benefit you this week, next week as well, I don't see a scenario where you should roll the transfer, make the move, make the transfer, and even if you have to take a hit to balance out a Game Week 32 team, I think it's absolutely fine. When will you use the bench boost? I've already used my bench boost. I don't have it left. And yeah, that's where I am. When did we use the bench? I think it was Game Week when I've completely forgotten. I think Game Week 29 is when we used the bench boost. I think it gave us about 25 points, so I would call it a successful bench boost. And I think I took a -4. So yeah, still okay, still decent. Saka or March, priority should be Saka. Again, I am assuming that you will possibly be having more than one Brighton mid, so maybe you can start that over March. But yeah, Saka maybe. Estupin and Zinchenko. I mean, it's the same set of questions. I've already answered this, but yeah, I mean, it depends on how you're seeing both games. Estupinan is slightly more riskier, but has slightly more upside. Both teams can concede. Both defenses can concede. But yeah, I think Estupinan still looks like the more higher upside player. So aggressive Estupinan, safer, slightly safer Zinchenko. Trent for Chilwell for a hit, I'll do that. Even for -4, I'll do that. Henry or Shaw, I already have Ryan goal. I'll still go Henry. Cheaper, can't say cheaper because of course it's a combination of which one to go for. But yeah, Ryan goal, great. Henry has a good, again, Raya plus Henry have a good fixture against Wolves, and I think a double up is fine. There's good clean sheet potential. Wolves don't score a lot of goals at home. Probably the worst team at home, and I think it's absolutely fine. Basically, go Henry plus Raya. It's okay. Should I start Shaw over March? I don't think so. March, I think more nailed for minutes. Gonna get 90 minutes. Chelsea aren't looking that great. Shaw, I don't think so. He's gonna get 90. I don't see us keeping. I don't see United keeping a clean sheet. So not really hopeful there as well. Is Botman going to be benched? I don't think so. I think he will start. And I think unless there's some injury that he's picked up, which we are not aware of, I don't think so. He's gonna get benched. Play Pereira or March. I'll play March for sure. Better option, better attack, great stats. I don't see a reason where March needs to be benched. March or McAllister. March better on stats. I think tops McAllister in most of the numbers out there. McAllister does have penalties, and Brighton were unlucky not to get a penalty against Spurs, but I think I'll still start March. McAllister's majority goal threat comes from the fact that he is on penalties and he's playing in a slightly more advanced role. If that kind of changes against Chelsea, if he drops a little bit deeper, I I, I still don't think so that there's enough potential in McAllister. Plus the fact that I think March and Mitoma are better finishers than McAllister. And McAllister, even if he gets those big chances, I mean, we've seen that in the past that he's not finishing those big chances. So I think March still for me. Chilwell, Gabriel, Botman, plus Trippier, currently inclined on Gabriel. I mean, all again, as I said earlier, all three defenses can concede. I'll still take my chances with Chilwell, maybe because of the fact that he has a decent goal threat. You run the risk of maybe a one pointer because of the fact that he may be benched. So in case if you're going to go absolutely safe, you go Gabriel. Botman, I'll still not go there because it's against Aston Villa. Plus, I think it's okay to spread the risk here a little bit by when you already have a Trippier. I think it's absolutely fine. You're there to, I mean, he's there to protect rank, and I think if a clean sheet, yes, you're not going to gain much, but I think it's fine. Safer is Gabriel, slightly more attacking or having the higher upside is Chilwell for sure. What game week should I use my bench boost? So game week 34 is an option when we talk about using the bench boost. It's a double game week. Teams like Man United, Man City, Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, Fulham as well. They all have double game weeks. Plus, there are some single game week teams that have a decent single game week fixture. So we have the likes of Newcastle. So in case it also depends on your team, right? So if you have players from the West Ham team as your fifth defender, maybe your fifth midfielder, maybe your third striker, maybe you have somebody like an Isak, Trippier, and a Botman, for example. Maybe you have options, you know, maybe you still have Madison by that point. I mean, that could be a possibility as well. Against Everton at home, I think that could be a decent fixture. Maybe you have Arsenal players as well. I know it's against Chelsea, but it's still a good fixture at home for the Arsenal team. All games are must-win games for the Arsenal team, and I think they're going to absolutely go for it every game. So I think if you have these kind of options, Game Week 34 is a good play time to play the bench boost. 37 is also an option, but I think it's cutting it a little bit too late because of the fact that by 37 we do not know what will happen. The game state might change. The league might have been won by that point. We might see a lot more players getting rotated. We might see a lot more players getting minutes who have not really gotten starts throughout the season. And I think by the time it might be a bit tricky to predict the bench. Plus, I think you leave the let's say if you leave the bench post till gaming 37, you are leaving a lot more money on your bench, which can probably be better utilized. Even if you're using your bench boost in 34, I mean, I understand that you will be keeping some money on your bench in 34, but in the last 3 or 4 weeks or game weeks of the FPL season, I mean, you can still try to maximize a lot more in your 11. You can take out money from your bench and start pumping in more money in your 11, and then try to take advantage of the game week 37 double. And of course, you also have the double or the potential double of Newcastle and Brighton, which will happen between I think 35 or 36. So I think 34 is still the best option for me. Why is everyone suddenly interested in Liverpool defense? Trent, isn't their 34 double also better for two attackers rather than Salah plus their defense? I think the reason of so that there are a couple of reasons for why people are suddenly interested in Trent, considering that he's been away and he's been missing for the entire season. I think number one reason is the fact that they aren't really two Liverpool attackers that we can go for right now. So of course everybody's gonna go on Salah. If I think a lot of people are already going on Salah right now, most of them will go towards the Salah by 33 or 34. So that's Salah out or one attacker out. The issue with the second attacker is that we have Gakpo in the mix. Then we have Diaz, who should return soon. I mean, I don't know where he is, but I think he should return very soon. Then we have the likes of Jota and Nunes among our forward players as well. The issue with all these three or four options, and even Firmino, right, in the mix, all of these players are going to get shared minutes. It's very difficult to predict which one is going to get 90 minutes, and I don't see any of these players going to, getting 90 minutes. Maybe Gakpo is somebody we can target. It's still a huge risk, and Trent is somebody who's going to get minutes, who's probably definitely more nailed than any of these attackers. Does give you a clean sheet. Does give you clean sheet points. I know that Liverpool aren't really keeping clean sheets. Away they are really really bad, especially in terms of defense. They concede a lot of chances. They concede very sloppy goals, and I think there is a possibility of that happening as well, and that continuing as well. But the fact that Trent did play in that inverted wingback role against Arsenal, against probably the best attacking team in the league, and did really well in the second half against the Arsenal team. And I think that could happen, that could continue because Klopp would have figured that this is maybe something that can be dwelled upon, can be improved upon, and that might help Trent's FPL prospects as well because of the fact that now he's playing in midfield. There is more assist potential. There is more potential for bonus points because he's going to get more of the ball. Of course, he can put in crosses. He can score from set pieces. And if they get a clean sheet, of course, it's a bonus. So I think the reason of moving towards a Trent is that also the fact that you would want to get towards certain players that can give you a rank boost, right? Liverpool still might have something to play for. They still might have Europe. For Chelsea, it's looking a bit difficult. So I understand why people would want to move from a Chilwell to a different, a Trent, for example. With Man City, there's an exit route to go towards an Edison, which I don't think so is a possible option when we talk about the Liverpool team. I mean, I don't see a lot of managers moving towards an Allison, for example. So you can get away with the Liverpool defense by not going for a defender and going for a goalkeeper instead. And I think that's also probably a more nailed option, right? So I think all of these factors do contribute to the fact that Trent is now suddenly becoming an option. Also, the last performance plus the fact that people are trying to gain rank. Only 8 weeks to go, and there aren't really a lot of options. I mean, as individual players, maybe you get a week, maybe you get a couple of weeks before everybody jumps onto a certain player. But as combinations, let's say this week, a Salah plus a Trent can be a great combination when we talk about differential options, right? Which not a lot of people will have because of the fact that they have other fires to put out. Maybe they've already used a transfer on Rashford or on Grealish or on. They also have the likes of Madison in their team and Shaw as well. So I think we have to kind of play and look towards these combinations to gain rank. And I think having that Trent combination with the Salah, I think is a great way to at least give yourself a shot to gain rank. Of course, a lot of different things could happen. It may not happen the same way we are expecting it to happen, and Liverpool may just completely go berserk in terms of their defensive performances and their attack as well. But I mean, you're just putting yourself in a position to gain points. That's about it. Trent for Henry for a -4. I think it's fine. I know it's a clean sheet game for Henry and Brentford, but I think it's okay. You prepare for 32, you prepare for 34. Give yourself a chance to for Trent to haul this week, and I think it's fine. Captain Kane or Salah, no Haaland. I still captain Salah. Very unlucky not to score more or not to get a bigger haul. There's slight worry that he may be off penalties. Maybe if Liverpool get a penalty this game, maybe just for the confidence he doesn't take it. But yeah, I think there's still a lot more potential in Salah against Leeds. Kane is a safer option though. He has a great record against Bournemouth. So in case if you want to go safer, you go Kane. I still feel the slightly higher upside player is Salah. Who should I bring in for Barnes? Have 9 million in the bank and already have Grealish. I mean, Martinelli could be an option. It does give you a decent fixture in 32, 34. Doesn't give you a double, but he could be an option. Olise could be an option again, not a double game week player. I think the double game week mids are mostly taken in terms of. I'm assuming that you would probably have double Brighton. If you don't, you move towards a double Brighton. Also depends on your plan for game week 32. If you do not have a free hit, then you move towards a Martinelli safer option. In case you're chasing, move towards an Olise, decent option still. In case if you do not have a Brighton mid, you look towards that. If you have enough money to make a Barnes to a Salah switch, I don't know if you have that or not, but if you do, you can also look to get towards a Salah who does give you a fixture in 32. You're jumping onto Salah a lot earlier than a lot of the other FPL managers, and then you're putting yourself in a position to get two fixtures out of Salah in 34, which is again great, right? So if you have the money to go Salah, otherwise the options that I mentioned, based on the scenarios that I've mentioned, I think you can go for any of those. Chilwell, Botman, Pinnock, bench one, start two. I'm assuming you will have Trippier, so I'll probably, if I'm going a little bit attacking, I'll go with the Chilwell plus Pinnock combination. Chilwell slightly risky because of the fact that he can give you a one pointer, maybe come from the bench, play the last 15-20 minutes. That's a possibility. Pinnock looks okay because of the fact that it's a clean sheet fiction. I think I'll definitely play Pinnock. So the essential conversations between Chilwell and Botman. And I think if I'm going a little bit aggressive, I'll go Chilwell. Botman does have a trickier fixture against Aston Villa, away fixture for Newcastle, Villa at home, and Watkins in particular is really, really strong at the moment. And I think I expect them to score against Newcastle. So I think I'll go Chilwell plus Pinnock. Best to do Salah considering that we have got almost similar teams. So my route to Salah is to take out Saka, take out Madison. I think the move is basically Saka out to a Salah and then Kane downgraded to an Isak. I think that's where I am thinking. It's not going to be this week. It's of course it's not going to be in game week 32 because I'm using the free hit in 32. It's going to be in game week 33 for a hit. Because of course I'll just be having one free transfer. But yeah, there's certain routes that you can go towards. I think, but most likely of a scenario, you'll have to downgrade a Kane to get in a Salah because of course you're not going to let go of Haaland. I don't think so. A downgrade from a Chilwell to a different defender, if that's an option, I think you can also figure that out. If you can downgrade Chilwell maybe to a cheaper defender, maybe you already have some money in the bank. I don't. I just have zero point 0.3. But if you do, and then Chilwell downgrade to a different defender can possibly give you an additional way of upgrading a midfield player. Maybe the issue is that you would want to have March plus Mitoma as your midfielders plus a Grealish. If you have Madison, I mean Madison can also be moved on to a Salah, but then again you'll need major chunk in case if you do not have enough money, which will most likely gonna come through Kane. So would you start Mings or Mitoma? Definitely Mitoma. Will have kept three clean sheets in the last three games. Newcastle are still a different proposition. When we see the last three games for Aston Villa, it's been Forest at home, Leicester away, and then Chelsea away. So Leicester away, Leicester generally aren't really a great team. Forest away also are not a great side, and Chelsea have been struggling all along. So Newcastle is a very different proposition. Newcastle are playing for top four, playing for Champions League football. Isak is back and he's scoring goals. And I think Newcastle's attack has slightly improved as well. So I think I will take my chances with the Mitoma. Definitely playing an attacker over a defender in most scenarios, but here as well, Chelsea are looking weak. The clean sheet potential for Chelsea is bleak. Mitoma on the eye test is absolutely crazy. I mean, he may not get the XG numbers that a lot of people who follow stats, for example, they look towards. But I think if you've seen Brighton playing and if you've watched their games, Mitoma absolutely looks like a player who will get involved in majority games or majority plays, majority attacking plays for the Brighton team. So I think I'll definitely go towards Mitoma. Already got Grealish. Should I bring in Arsenal mid Martini for Rashford as well? You don't have to if you can just afford to keep Rashford on the bench. But if you do not have a free hit available, I think Rashford is an easy sell. You go towards a Martinelli this week. Good fixture this week, and then also gives you a fixture in 32. If you do have the free hit available, I don't think so. It's a necessary move to make. Which is a better duo, Saka and Robbo or Martinelli or Trent? I think Martinelli or Trent looks like the better combination right now. Martinelli because of the fact that Gabriel Jesus is back and he and Gabriel Jesus do have a really good partnership. Saka's numbers have gone down by a lot. Martinelli has been getting more of the ball. He has been scoring a lot more. He's been getting more points. There's more overall potential in Martinelli right now as compared to Saka. And I think with Trent as well, he's the more attacking of the two. So I think Martinelli plus Trent is the right combination. If you had Martinelli, should you bench March? I am personally of the opinion that I'll still play. If it's between the two, I'll still play March. If you already have a Mitoma or a McAllister, or if you're trying to play a three in midfield, a three Brighton midfield, then I'll play Martinelli. But if March is the only Brighton option that you have, I think I'll I'll play March. If you want to spread the risk and if you have a Mitoma or a McAllister, then it's basically that Brighton player plus Martinelli. Which two should I start off? Henry, Estupinan, Botman, and Shaw. Henry is a good fixture. I'll start him. Estupinan as well. I think there is potential for him, especially when you talk about attacking potential. I think Estupinan can do well this week. Botman, I'm assuming you'll have Trippier, so that covers off your Newcastle clean sheet if they get one. Shaw, I don't think so. Is gonna get 90 minutes this week. Plus, it's Forest away. It's not gonna be an easy fixture. And the fact that we've lost a couple of very important defenders, and the fact that Maguire and Lindelof are going to start as a centre backs, most likely. I mean, if Shaw doesn't start as the ball playing centre back, I think it's going to be Lindelof and Maguire. That doesn't really give me a United fan a lot of confidence. So I think it's going to be Henry and Estupinian. What do you think about Grealish to Rashford or Chilwell to a different defender? Grealish to Rashford to Grealish. Sorry. Um, Again, depends on the money that you have. Chilwell to a Trent is an option. Gives you a fixture in 32, 34 as well. If you do not have the free hit, I think that's a great pick to go for. If you do have the free hit available to be used in 32, then I think you can do Rashford to Grealish. He is a good player this week. Gives you a really good fixture against Leicester. Though his ownership is, I think, going to be maybe 50 to 60, maybe slightly even more. But if you take out Rashford and if Rashford is fit in 34, then you have to kind of make a plan to get Rashford back. So if you're making the Rashford move, basically taking him out, see where you can or how you can get him back by 34. If there's no clear route to get Rashford back, I'll still just bench Rashford and move towards, move a Chilwell to a different defender option. Why Raya over Kepa? Raya over Kepa because of two reasons. Because the fact that Raya is playing Wolves. Wolves are a really bad team in attack. At home, they're the worst in terms of scoring goals, and I think there is potential for Raya to keep a clean sheet. And Brentford generally, even if they concede a lot of chances, a lot of shots, Raya does make end up making a lot of saves. So I think that's now reason number one. The second reason is maybe slightly overplayed, but I think there is a slight possibility that Kepa gets benched because of the fact that Lampard mentioned that he's going to give minutes to a lot of players from the Chelsea team who haven't really got minutes across the season, and I think very little, but yeah, but there's still a slight possibility that Kepa does get benched. So I think those two reasons are enough reasons for me to start a Raya. I also have a triple captain pending. When should I use it and on whom? If you're not using a chip in 34, I think triple captain Haaland in gaming 34 is an absolute lock. If you are using a chip, any other chip than the triple captain chip in 34, then maybe this week or game week 37. I think 37 is also a week where Haaland is going to have a double, and I think that could also be a potential option. Even I don't have anything in the bank. I'm also thinking Saka to Salah and Kane probably to Martial. That's where I am as well. But my route is probably going to be slightly different. Maybe Kane to Isak and then Watkins to a Martial for a hit is also an option. That can also be done. But now even Isak makes sense. I mean, yeah, the reason I'm planning towards an Isak is because the fact that he doubles in one of 35 or 36. Plus, I mean, most likely he's not going to play a fixture or he's not going to be in my 11 in 34. But I can still, even if it's Watkins, right? Watkins, I think, is playing against Man United. So I can play a 3-5-2 with Haaland and Isak, and then all my five, double game week 34 midfielders, and then three at the back. So that is also a potential strategy. Martial as a punt is I mean, right now I can say it's okay, but by game week 34, is he even fit? Does he even start? Does he even get minutes? I think all of those are valid questions. All of those are important questions that that we need to see and we need to understand. And I think the next 2 or 3 weeks will give us that answer. So I think, yeah, I mean, Kane to Isak and Saka to Salah looks pretty decent. Start two: McAllister versus Shaw versus Chilwell versus Estupinian. I'll start if if you want to spread the risk a little bit, maybe start McAllister and Chilwell. If you already have Mitoma as well, I mean, in spite of you having maybe a Brighton mid starting, I think still starting McAllister is absolutely fine against Chelsea, and you start one of Chilwell and Estupinian. Shaw for me is still a bench player this week because the fact that I'm personally not very confident of the clean sheet prospects as well as Shaw getting 90 minutes this week. So I think I'm okay benching Shaw this week and playing one of Chilwell Estupinian. I mean, Estupinian still looks like the slightly more. I mean, he definitely looks like the more nailed option. Also, the slightly more higher upside between the two. So I think it's going to be McAllister and Estupinian. But yeah, if you feel that you want to spread the risk a little bit, go a little bit safer, then you go McAllister plus Chilwell. Who do you think is the best captain pick in Game Week 33? We look at the 33 fixtures quickly. Man City Arsenal is going to be a going to be a great game, but yeah, I mean, this is possibly a week where we can look at maybe not captaining Haaland or an Arsenal player. I think as an alternate option, I mean, moving towards the Salah is a potential option. We can also look at. I think Spurs versus United is also going to be a tough game. Captaining Rashford may or may not be an option by that point. I think Newcastle is playing Everton. If you have a Newcastle option, maybe an Isak, for example, I think that can be an alternate option. Aston Villa versus Fulham is also a great fixture. I think we can captain Watkins. I think he's a good pick. If you have, or if people do have Madison by that point, Madison against Leeds. I know Madison's not done that great, but I think as an outside shout, Madison versus Leeds could also be a decent option. Brighton against Forest, another differential fixture. It's a home game for Forest, so you can maybe it's gonna be not that straightforward, not that simple. But I think yeah, one of your Brighton mids can also be. So I mean, there are potential options. I'm assuming a lot of managers would not have Madison, so maybe we are then in a position to choose between a Brighton mid. Or Salah, or maybe look towards Isak. Again, Isak is also a differential right now. I don't think so. A lot of people would have him, let alone captaining him. So I think the Brighton game and the Liverpool game are possible options for captaincy. I think. Which one to start, Raya or Edison? Both good picks. I think Edison is slightly better. I think both keepers will get clean sheets. Yeah, if you feel that Raya is probably going to give you some additional points, especially because of the fact that he makes a lot of saves. See, Edison and Mancy don't really concede a lot of shots, right? And because of that fact, of course, those shots are also not translated into shots on target or shots on goal. And because of that fact, he doesn't make a lot of saves, or he doesn't get a lot of save points. So if you feel that maybe you can eke out a couple of more points, maybe one or two more bonus points from a Raya, maybe go towards Raya, but I think Edison is fine. Chilwell or Zinchenko, safer option in terms of minutes is Zinchenko. Slightly higher upside is Chilwell. If you're attacking, go Chilwell. If you're going defensive and safe and you're trying to protect rank, I mean, if you're trying to protect rank, you possibly would look towards Chilwell. But I think, I think the higher upside pick is Chilwell this week. Estupinian versus Chilwell, big dilemma for this game week. And I still fancy my chances. I still feel out of the two, both are okay options, but Estupinian is nailed number one. Chelsea are it's a home game for fixtures. So Chelsea might keep it a little bit tighter in terms of the defense, but because of the fact that a lot of players might get minutes who haven't been getting minutes, I mean, there's good potential for Brighton to do really well and Estupinian to do well from an attacking sense. So I think for me it's still Estupinian out of both these options. I'm wildcarding Gaming 34. Is it still worth buying Haaland for a hit this week? I think it's fine. Even if you take a hit for Haaland, I think it's absolutely fine because of the fact that Haaland has a great fixture, and he probably, if he starts, he's probably ends up scoring a hat trick, maybe even more goals. And because of the fact that he's also going to be one of the most popular captaincy choices this week, I don't think so. It's necessary to take that risk and take that chance of going without Haaland. I think you get in Haaland even if it's for a hit. Madison and Tony to Martial and Haaland for free, or Madison, Tony, Chilwell to Grealish, Martinelli, Ake, and Haaland. So it's basically you're essentially taking a hit for the defender, right? That's what you are doing. So taking out Chilwell for Ake for a hit is okay, but it may not be recovered this week. I mean, yes, you're putting yourself in a position to gain an additional defender for 34, and if you're planning for 34 with the aim or intention of free hitting in 32, I think it's fine. You take the hit. It's not a necessary hit to take, but I think it's fine if you take it. I think a fair amount of managers will be taking hits this week, next week as well, and I think you can recover that by game week 33, 34. Buemo, Madison this week. I mean, both aren't really that great options, but if I'm choosing one, I'll go Buemo. Madison is a tricky game. Man City is, it's going to be tough. Let's just keep it that way. I think it's going to be a tough game for Leicester and Madison in particular. I'm using my free transfer to bring in Edison. I'm on free hit 32. I think it's fine. You make that switch. Free hitting in 32 makes your 31 transfer uh, wasted. For, I mean, if that's the right way to put it, because of the fact that it's not going to carry forward 233, and that's a side note. The Let's say if you have a free transfer available this week in game week 31, and if you're free hitting in game week 32, and if ultimately you end up saving the transfer this week in gaming 31, that transfer, that particular option is not going to get carry forwarded to 33. So when you reach 33 after playing a free hit in 32, that transfer will reset and you'll still have only one free transfer to use. So I think that's just a side note that you have to keep in mind. Would you start Botman versus Villa or Dunk versus Chelsea? I'll still take my chances with Dunk versus Chelsea. It's not a huge deal because I think both. I mean, I still fancy Villa to score against Newcastle compared to Chelsea score against. I mean, I'm. You can see by my comments or by my opinion that I'm not very heavy on Chelsea scoring or winning this one. Plus, it's also the fact that Chelsea don't really have a lot to anything to play, right? I mean, they're most likely out of the Champions League. It's still 2-0, so I mean, still weirder things have happened in the Champions League. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but they don't really have anything to play, especially in the league. I don't think so. They have anything to play for. I think Europe is a far fetched dream now. I don't think so. It's gonna happen. And yeah, I mean, maybe just Lampard just tries to settle the squad by giving minutes to players who haven't got minutes, and just try to make the owners and make the players happy. That's all about it. And I don't think so. I mean, Chelsea are definitely a team that we can target in the league for sure because of the fact that they don't have much to play for. Right, it's tough to decide which. I mean, there are a few dilemmas this week which can go either way. I mean, there can be a lot of variance also because the fact that you may end up choosing the wrong player or choosing the wrong option, the attacker or the defender to start, and you may end up leaving a lot of bench points this week. But yeah, that's the risk that you take. I mean, always a chance that Raya concedes and Kepa, keeps a clean sheet. That'll be chaotic from an FPL point of view because a lot of people do have the double up on the Brighton attack, and if Chelsea score, then the Estupinan clean sheet also kind of goes. I want a long-term goalkeeper. I have Trippier and Shaw and Zinchenko in defense. I mean, Edison is a good option, nailed option. A fixture in 34, in fact, a double in 34, a double in 37 as well. Does blank in 32, so if you can navigate that, I think is the great option. Is Bruno to Salah worth considering? Not in this week, but maybe for the double and long term. I think it's fine. You're letting go of a double game week player in 34, but I think it's fine. Salah is definitely the better option, the higher upside option. I think the higher capable option also in terms of points, and I think we will look to attack the Liverpool double. Now, Salah is probably one of the most nailed options in that Liverpool attack. Considering, and I mentioned this in the stream a little bit earlier, the fact that we have options like Nunes, Gakpo, we have Firmino, we also have Diaz, Jota. They're gonna get limited minutes, and I think Bruno to Salah, I think it's absolutely fine. Do we get money to play FPL? I don't think so. You get money generally to play FPL. Like, let's say if you just start playing it regularly, I don't think so. Unless you really win FPL, I don't even think if you win FPL there is a money prize. I think there are tickets to UK and to your favorite stadium or to your favorite match and all that stuff, plus some merchandise. But I don't think so. There's money involved. Might be wrong though. Still have to check. But yeah, I mean, if you want to earn money or win money, you can join a lot of mini leagues. I think there are some money leagues as well where people are maybe contributing maybe small amounts like 50, 100 rupees, maybe even more, and then the top 3, top 5, top 10 and all that stuff, those people do get the cash prize. Some of them are weekly mini leagues. I think, I'm not sure. I'm not a part of any, so I'm not very sure. But I have heard that there are cash prizes and cash leagues that run across FPL. And some of them also are on a season to season basis, where the top three across the season, the top five, top 10, or top 100, or whatever. I mean, depending on the number of people participating in the league, depending on the prize money as well, uh, there are certain prizes to be won. Shall I bring Haaland in for Watkins? Uh, Haaland is a great option. Watkins is, I mean, it's okay. It's against Newcastle, and I think Watkins can be taken off. But yeah, Haaland has to come in this week. I mean, I'm definitely not in the camp of not owning Haaland with that high ownership, and I also don't think a Salah can cover off the damage that a Haaland can do to you this week. Which transfer did you make this game week? I did the Rashford to Grealish move with the intention of bringing Rashford back in case if he's fit by game week 34. The idea would be to take out Salah and Saka and Madison, get in Salah and Rashford. Of course, for doing that, I'll have to take out Kane. So Kane to Isak would be the option, and I'll still have enough money to move a Chilwell to a Trent in game week 34. So that would be my transfer strategy. Again, this is on paper. A lot could change because of the fact that we have more players who are injured. We have some suspensions coming in. A lot could change by then, but yeah, at least right now, this is the transfer strategy that I have in mind. Guys, about 15 more minutes. I'll also quickly check my team. You also please do that. Don't leave it till the very late. There's always a chance that the servers might crash and we may not be able to save our teams. But just make sure that if your transfers are set this week, just make sure that you make them right now. Take a minute, do the moves, and come back to the stream. But yeah, and don't forget to save your team in case if you're bench boosting as well. Don't forget to hit the bench boost button and save your team, save your captain as well. I think it's really really important. My team is pretty much saved. It's Haaland captain, Kane vice captain, playing a 3-4-3 as you can see on the screen as well. Haaland, Kane, Watkins. Double up on Brighton, Grealish plus Saka, Trippier, Chilwell, Estopinian, very nicely distributing the the risk. Maybe not as well because of the fact that I have three Brighton, so I'm backing a heavy Brighton win, and Chelsea not scoring a goal and maybe even conceding a clean sheet. So let's see. Guys, do hit the like button if you've liked the stream so far. If I was able to help you, though the first 15 minutes was a bit of a weird one this time, where I was talking to a blank screen and I realized that the stream was not active, the stream was not live, and I spent about 15 minutes talking to a blank screen. But yeah, if you want more comical moments like these, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm. If you've been one of the subscribers or one of our early subscribers who's been with us for a very very long time, thank you so much again for all your love and support. We recently hit 2K subscribers as well on YouTube, and thank you so much again for all the love that you guys have shown me over the time. It's just been great. But yeah, very excited. I think overall about the game week prospects. I think there's some interesting matchups, interesting games to look out for. I think Man City versus Leicester tonight is going to be a cracking game. And if Haaland blanks for some reason, I think FPL is going to go into chaos. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot to look out for tomorrow as well. I think the Arsenal performances, Saka versus Martinelli, is another thing to watch out for. Then who's going to play centre back, and how is Man United going to deal in terms of defense? I think that's also going to be an interesting take. What's happening with Rashford? How many minutes is Shaw getting? I think it's going to be a good eye test for managers who are looking to invest in Liverpool options maybe next week or in Game Week 33. I think the likes of Salah and Trent are already very high on the watch list in terms of the Liverpool options. I think the second Liverpool attacker is also another spot that I think a lot of managers would be looking to go. So I think the Leeds game and the game in 32, 33 are I think good eye test games for the Liverpool attackers if we want to get any or the second option in game week 34. I'm captaining Kane way safer than Haaland. Personally, I don't agree. I think Haaland is way safer than Kane. Firstly, because of the fact that there is higher potential for Haaland to do better. I think both of them are going to do great, but I think Haaland has the better potential out of both. Uh, Plus, because the fact that his ownership is probably going to be 150, maybe even more, 160, 170, maybe even 180 this week. And I think that really makes Haaland a much safer option, because if you do not captain Haaland, if he absolutely goes bonkers, if he ends up scoring 10, 12, 15 points, I mean, you're gonna lose a lot by not captaining Haaland this week. So that's the reason I think Haaland is the safer option. At Grealish, so Rashford to Martinelli. You have Grealish, so basically doing Rashford to Martinelli, I think it's fine. Gives you 32, a game in 32, gives you a game in 34. Maybe you have a plan for Martinelli to maybe move towards a different option. I think that's also fine. Why Estupiñán or Botman? Not very confident about Newcastle getting a clean sheet, though their defense is really good. But Aston Villa at home are a very strong team. Plus the fact that Watkins has been in great form and Aston Villa in attack are really strong. I think I'm okay spreading the risk a little bit by just going by Trippier. I know Trippier, whatever Trippier does, he's not gonna really give me a huge rank gain because of the fact that everybody owns Trippier right now. But I think Estupiñán definitely looks like the higher upside pick. He can give you an attacking return as well. Botman doesn't really give you that. If I'd share, maybe the conversation was slightly different, but I think Estupiñán definitely has higher attacking threat than a Botman. So yeah, I think and plus Chelsea have looked very very average in the recent games, and the fact that there could be a lot of rotation, so team rhythm could take a hit a little bit. Nathan Ake versus Trent, definitely Trent, higher upside, better potential, good attacking prospects. If you feel that clean sheets are probably primary in terms of your decision making, then maybe it's Nathan Ake. But I think Trent is definitely better. Chilwell for Ake for a hit worth. Maybe not this week. It's not worth it in a single week, but you're preparing your team for 34 as well. You're free hitting in 32, which is fine, and you're getting a fixture in 33 as well. So I think it's fine. You take a hit. High chances that Chilwell maybe gets benched this week, and maybe he comes on for a 1 pointer. I think Nathan Ake can give you a clean sheet. So I think I'll go Ake. What do you think about Rashford to Grealish? If I have a way of getting him back, but it means benching March. I mean, if you already have somebody who is a Brighton option, maybe you have a Mitoma, for example. I don't know. Maybe you have McAllister. I think you still have some cover in the Brighton team, and I think I'm okay doing Rashford to Grealish and then benching March. But if March is the only option in the Brighton team, I'll still take my chances with a March. In case if you're trying to, if in case if you're trying to protect rank, I think you should get Grealish because the fact that he's gotten by a lot of managers. He has a great prospect this week, and I think his ownership and the points that he can score, I think, can hurt you a little bit. So I think you go safer and you go Grealish. Sell or keep Chilwell. If I sell for who? If you have the money, you go for Trent. If you don't have the money, you go for Ake. But yeah, you can sell Chilwell. It's absolutely fine. Chilwell, Bruno, Saka are those I'm thinking about. Sorry, I missed the first part of the question. Free hitting Yemi 32. Don't know which transfer should I make this week. I mean, you can again do Chilwell to a cheaper defender, Chilwell to a Trent. You can downgrade Bruno to a different option, Saka to a Martinelli. It depends, right? Do you need this player for 34? Can you make use of a transfer this week and then set up your team for 34? That's one. If you can, then you try to take out a Chilwell for a different defender, or even a Bruno. Bruno has okay. I mean, he's a decent fixture this week. And if you don't want to do that, or if you can't do that, then maybe you just get some more money by making the Saka to Martinelli move, and then use the additional money in 34, 33, 34. Also see if, let's say, if you do the Saka to Martinelli move, I mean, are you keeping Martinelli for 33, 34, or is Martinelli a way to then move on to a different option? Because if it's the latter, I think you can also kind of do the Chilwell move and make maybe use an additional player this week and maybe for 33, 34 as well, if that makes sense. Um, Start Kilman, Henry, or Mings. I'll start Henry. I think a good potential for a clean sheet this week. Wolves are really bad at home in attack, and I think there's a high potential for Henry to get a clean sheet, maybe slightly even get some attacking threat, give us some attacking threat and get an attacking turn. Mitoma or Eze for this week, definitely Mitoma if you are going safe, Eze if you're chasing rank, if you're trying to go differential, if you're trying to go against your mini league rivals, if you're falling behind, and if you want to go aggressive, go Eze, otherwise Mitoma. White to Nathan Ake. Nathan Ake has better fixture this week. Opinion on Chilwell to trend for a further -8. Maybe not this week. Maybe it's not a must move to make because of the fact that Liverpool are also. Uh, I mean, Liverpool is not a grade A defense, right? If you know what I mean. They can still concede a goal against Leeds, so maybe not for additional hits. Maybe you just keep Chilwell and maybe make the move next week or in 33 or 34. Saka to Grealish. Thoughts? I mean, I'll do Saka to Grealish, not a problem at all. You end up saving some money, which you can utilize in 32, 33, or 34. Chilwell to Robertson or Stones. If I had to go, I mean, the priority would be Trent, but if you can't, and if you want a Liverpool option, then you go Robbo. Stones is still a bit risky because he can always, drop back in a centre back role, and then maybe one of Akanji or Nathan Ake gets to the bench. That's an option as well. Maybe Akanji gets to the bench, and then they start with Diaz in a back three. That's also an option. So I think Robertson is definitely more nailed, more safer, and has higher upside as well. Would you start Fernandes or March? I'll start March. Susan, you're saying thank you so much again for asking the question and joining on the stream as well. Really appreciate it. You'll do it in 33 or 34 along with Salah in, which is absolutely fine. Start Botman or Zinchenko. I'll start Zinchenko. I'm assuming you will already have Trippier. I don't think so. There's a week to double up on the Newcastle defense, considering that Aston Villa can score at home and Watkins is in red hot form. So I think Newcastle will concede. My team is the Kepa, Raya, White, Shaw, Estupinian, Trippier, Mings, Rashford, Saka, Martinelli, Mitoma, McAllister, Kane, Watkins, Haaland. I'll play free in 32. What change should I make? I think you can take out Kepa, move towards a different option. I'm not sure whether you have. Okay, so you're playing the free hit in 32. Um, so Kepa to Edison is an option. Sets you up for 34. Estupinian, Trippier, Mings, Rashford is also again because of the fact that you already have Martinelli and you don't have to make a move towards a Grealish. If you're going safer, maybe you can go towards a Grealish as well. I think that's also an option. Basically, a keeper move or take out Rashford and go towards a Grealish, but to make sure that you have a plan to get Grealish back when he's fit for 34. Otherwise, just do the keeper move if you have enough money in the bank. Start Watkins or March, already starting Mitoma. I'll start March. I think both have trickier fixtures, but I think March has better potential, playing a slightly weaker defense, and I think March can score. Has done really well in terms of stats, in terms of his numbers. I think Brighton overall are the team who can do really well even against the Chelsea side. Start to Shaw, White, Estupinian. I'll start White and Estupinian. Not sure about Shaw's minutes this week. Me just end up getting a one pointer. It's against Forest. Not also very confident of a clean sheet. -4 for Trent and have 10 doublers in gaming 34, or no -4 for Ake and have 9 doublers for gaming 34. I'm all for hits and taking and going for Trent higher upside, having an additional doubler for a -4. I think it's absolutely fine. Basically, option A is what I'm saying. Salah, Grealish, Saka, captain. This week, I think Salah is a great shout. Grealish is a great option if you're trying to stick to a Man City option and also look for differential, but I think Salah has better potential. Saka versus Martinelli is the debate in my head in terms of captaincy as well. Now, if you have Saka, you'll obviously prefer Saka, but his numbers haven't been that great since Gabriel Jesus has returned, and I think that may be a trend that continues. Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli have played really well together, and I think a lot of those attacking plays will move towards a Martinelli, and that's the reason we've seen him scoring a lot more than Saka in the recent games, and I think he's maybe not a shout. It's between Salah and Grealish, and I think I'll stick with Salah as a captain, unless you're really, really chasing, unless you're really, really going very aggressive. He's the option, but I won't go as a for sure. There are better options, even if you're looking at differentials. I think Grealish, Salah, Kane, I think an Arsenal option of Martinelli are better picks than Eze. Bruno or Saka to Grealish for this week. I mean, I can stick in Bruno for 1 week, do Saka to Grealish this week. Uh, if I have the free hit available for 32, I think I'll definitely do the Saka to Grealish. Uh, and I'm okay letting go of Saka because the fact that I may not want him in 33, 34 anyway. So I think Saka to Grealish is fine. Start Chilwell. Looks like could be a one pointer, but yeah, I mean, it depends, right? On what are the other options. If it's Trippier and Chilwell, of course I'll start Trippier. If it's Estupinian and Chilwell, I'll start Estupinian ahead of Chilwell. If it's Botman versus Chilwell, I think I'll start Chilwell ahead of Botman, because the fact that I'm not very confident of Newcastle, getting a clean sheet and a double up is a little too much for the Aston Villa fixture. What do you think of Kepa triple captain? I'm not gonna do that. I mean, as a captain, and no chance. Imagine if we captain Kepa as triple captain Kepa, and if he gets benched, I mean, of course the vice captains might give you maybe you have Haaland and it's like a joke at the end of the day, but I'm not gonna do that. And guys, that's deadline. So that is it. That is the deadline. All the best for game week 31. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great game week. Wishing and hoping for green arrows to all of you. I hope I was able to help you guys with the stream. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the Insanely Football YouTube channel if you enjoyed the stream today. If you liked what you saw, if I was helpful in any way or any capacity, please feel free to comment as well. If you have any feedback, always happy to have a chat and listen to any feedback, positive, negative, whatever that is. But yeah, that's about it. We do this every week, so in case if you liked it, please make sure that you join us for the next week's stream as well. We do a lot of content on a weekly basis. We have the Insanely Football blog as well, which is insanelyfootball.com. You can check that out as well. A lot of good content comes out week on week. We are also very active on YouTube, and we do regular videos on YouTube as well, which are like basically short content and quick, snappy videos. Plus, we also have the Insanely Football pod for the longer format. In case if you like listening to a longer sort of a preview episode, I think that also can be very very helpful, so do check that out as well. You can also check out our Twitter page. We do a lot of stuff on Twitter as well. Please feel free to share and like wherever you can and as much as you can with your friends and family. Any love and support is going to be very very well appreciated. Again, thank you so much. We'll just keep it short this time. I have some stuff to take care as well. Again, all the best. Have a great week. Keep smiling. Have lots of fun on the weekend. And I will hopefully see you guys next week. Take care. Bye bye.